Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Classics race number 7, the Trofeo Bologna. This is an exact replica of the 2019 Giro d'Italia opener, stage 1 TT course, but we're doing 2 laps as a scratch race, first across the line over the second climb. And it's quite the climb, Dave. I'm Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll, obviously next to me. And Dave, this is one of the most dreaded climbs, I think, in all of Zwift. You know, when it comes, I mean, it's great for the climbers kind of day, but man, this one is tough.
Yeah, it's a specialist's day, isn't it? I love trophies and I love pasta bolognese. So this ought to be a fantastic experience for me, for sure. I always remember when Mark Cavendish was at the Amgen Tour of California after the race, when most of the riders were scrambling with the protein shake. He had a chef making him a pasta bolognese every day when he finished. And I thought, that's nice. It's good to be a star, isn't it? So, yeah, this is a fantastic opportunity for, a limited group of riders, right, Nathan? Is this the course that you were out with Kristen Armstrong on? When you
we were doing a workout specifically for this course, actually. And the reason, actually, to speak to that, the Friday workouts that we are doing, actually, this last one and this next one are specifically aimed at the classics. And the reason that we did the ramp up workout this past Friday with Kristen Armstrong was because this is essentially a ramp up. If you look at the course there, it hits you at an 8%. We start kind of steady threshold level, and then you go into this 20% to 16, 17 at times steadily to the finish line. And it's a ramp up VO2 to the end. First time over the top, though, on this course for only 24.3 kilometers, but there's a 5.5 kilometer flat there in the middle that you hit 3 times. So really, it's the climb that everybody's looking at.
This profile is your classic prologue to a Grand Tour stage, or these days they really are making it l'etape 1 or this first stage rather than using that prologue concept anymore in modern racing. But I mean, like the first ever Amgen Tour of California, Nathan, started in down in the Embarcadero, which is flat for the first half of the 8 miles, and then boom, straight up to Coit Tower. Super steep climb. It's interesting to do it as a road race format with 2 laps out here today. And the first trip up will make a massive separation. Second trip up, obviously, you're going to be seeing the race won and lost out there. We're going to jump right in, getting right to it as well. No aperitivo, no appetizer, Nathan. We're getting right into the main course. Lionel is racing. I saw Zwift Community Live reaching out and asking Lionel if he was. That was on the YouTube channel. I love the fact that we have people joining us all over the world to watch the racing here, Nathan. But there he is, the man himself, the duck. Lionel Vujasin is back. That makes me feel like we have they introduced pumpkin spice latte back today in America, which is like kind of our de facto beginning of fall. Well, Zwift racing season begins for me when I see that.
Where are we at in the modern world? Where are we at in the modern world, Dave, when our actual seasons swap with the Starbucks coffee, right? Like that's the official way that things are changing. Vujasin now, though, he's swapping it up at the 9 watts per kilogram, 8 watts per kilogram. Mads Bang Anderson, he's been racing in this C1 for the last couple of weeks saying, what just hit me? Well, welcome to Premier Division level, hitting up the C1s today. Wow, and I think the reality is Lionel hasn't been on the bike in a while, so it's kind of one of these esports situations where the ranking up hasn't taken place yet. He got put back into a category from maybe not being on for quite as long. So going to start ranking up, and I think this is going to put him right at the top. Now, the reality is, in my World of Zwift feature, I said this wasn't the way to go, though. So I wonder if, is he the type of rider that can just ride away from this pack regardless of how fast that downhill is from a snowballing pack, or is he just sitting at what he's comfortable with? He's such a strong rider. There are anvils today, Dave, which really make it difficult to stay away.
Those are great questions, Nathan, quite honestly. I'm going to quickly circle back on what you were saying, though, and say Lionel hasn't been Zwifting or doing esports lately, but I bet you he's been out riding a lot. I have a feeling he's fit as a fiddle, to tell you the truth. And maybe today, with absolutely zero pressure on Lionel, he will have a chance here to, what was the flag that we were seeing there as well? I'm going to do some research there, as that didn't look like a Belgian flag to me, but I might have been seeing something weird. But so Lionel is one of the greatest athletes that we've ever seen in the Zwift Racing League, without a doubt. And week in, week out, he's a top 5 guy in an insanely talented group, right? I mean, you can't speak enough about Lionel. His low-level fitness is going to be higher than some of the better Zwifters out there. But Nathan, I'm assuming he's been riding a lot and racing outside, and I think he's just going to throw all the chips into the middle of the pot and absolutely go for it with nothing to lose out here in the Trofeo Bologna. You follow me? What has he got to lose, right? Why not have some fun with it and just break some legs? And you know he's got some guys back there just going, my goodness, this is a bit much, isn't it, Lionel?
23 seconds already opened up, and some of the comments coming through from the rest of the riders was it's not even fair. Just, Elkston, Bang, all trying to maybe bring something back. But I think at this point they're saying, let's allow him to go. Let him, and really, if I were this pack, keeping him within 30 seconds to a minute is probably your best bet, actually, because Lionel may be he is obviously an amazing athlete, but he can't hold 6, 5 to 7 for the rest of the race. He can hold this over the top of this 5 minutes that he's doing over this first climb. But the reality is that on the flats and on the downhill, he's going to have to come back below that 5.0 or around 5.0, even if he gets into TT mode. And the second time up, if he does that all the way through, it would be a monster ride, a breakthrough ride even for Vujasin to do this kind of an effort again after all of the flats on the Bologna course here. So this is, for this pack here, staying together and working together against this one man is their best bet.
Completely agree that it's logical and it's the way that they should be riding. I think that these guys will all be hyper aware of the talent and the ability of Lionel. But when you look at it, if they can combine, and this will do a lot of sorting out there as well. That must be John Werm that we're looking at, who's been extremely talented out here. Just taking, you mentioned Mads Bang Andersen, Roy Arts also. These are some of the heavy hitters, no doubt about it. So if they can work together, this is not necessarily, shouldn't have the alarm bells ringing, but it's certainly a heads up and a hey, how you doing? Lionel is back. Let's take a look at the guys that we do have with us here. As Gareth Just is back, the Estonian rider. They're certainly a man to watch, and he's setting the pace. Womack there out of the United Kingdom. Moreno, that's Jorge Moreno of the Pita Z team, one of the Portuguese riders that we always want to keep an eye on. Nathan, you do some inventory here. It's really nothing but high-quality talent riding in this front group, and look how they've made a selection. I mean, this is exactly what I expected to see from this course today. The climb is brutal. Only monsters need apply. This front group is not your lead group, however. They're chasing one man. Lionel Vujasin is back and in full effect.
Vujasin with a full-on 40-second gap at this point. Already at the turnaround here. He's going to see his competition as he goes by. Give him a little bit of a wave, maybe. I'd like to see. Come on,
that's
now.
The coolest turnaround I've ever seen.
We got to see a wave here as he goes by, or some sort of a nod to his competition. He hasn't even seen them yet. Oh my goodness, this is a huge gap at this point.
Okay.
And in the 6-1, 186 beats per minute, so he is committed to this. Up in the 57 now, though, and I wonder what kind of power-up he got. Not actually getting into a super tuck just yet. There we go. Now getting right down into it.
Okay, Nathan, so I want to take a time check here back to that Chase 1, that group that contains all of our favorites outside. So did Thomas Thrall make that group? Did he make the start? I haven't seen Thrall's name.
I have not seen Thrall, and that was one name that was
so that's a bit of a
me for sure.
He must not have made the start today. That Canadian flag
Thrall
is not.
Maybe in C0 though. Let me double check here, and because I wouldn't be surprised because he may have been racing over the. No, he's not in C0. So interesting.
Because all the other names really make sense. Griff is there, Nathan, the dirt rider from out of South Africa. That's another rider we haven't mentioned yet. Womack, I was talking about as so. This is a huge gap that we're looking at here. So they've got some work to do, but obviously this size group Nathan, how many times and I couldn't agree more with your assessment. A group like this with guys all willing to pitch in, and they say many hands makes a light load. I'm sure you've been help a friend move before, and it sure makes a big difference when you get 6 motivated people versus 2
Three
people
little
working
boys, many hands, light load at my house. You want to talk about many hands? I've got 10 of those many little hands that need to do things around the house all the time. That is like the mantra of our life here, Dave. So I understand that for 100%.
Hey, I see. Thank you. It's Eric Haugen telling us that Tom Thrall is going to be racing in the next race, or Thomas Thrall in the next C1 race. Yeah,
huge
appreciate
help,
that. This is thru that we're in with right now, and taking
the lead woman rider
amongst
this C1 has made this front chase group, actually, which is a pretty amazing accomplishment here. Now, 4 seconds back, though, and you can see how much damage can be done if you do not grab the wheels well. And it's not... The speeds can get so incredibly high from the snowball effect. Look at what happened. They were all together over the top, and now they're gone. This pack is gone. They are not coming back. They're in full-on chase mode at this point to try and catch Vujasin. And these 3, even Badsbag Anderson, sleeping a little bit on a downhill, Dave. That's how crucial this downhill section is.
Isn't that fantastically interesting? Now, I think Mads is going to be able to get back. I saw him putting some red numbers up on the board, so he's all in and committed, and he will get back, Nathan, in my estimation. But this is burning just a massive, massive effort to get back into that group. So that being said, let's talk about the Vujasin effect here. Lionel has completely blown this race. It would have blown up anyways, wouldn't you think, Nathan, the first time up the climb? More or less. I wouldn't have been all that different. But Lionel lit the fuse early, and it's just been blowtorch time out here. Again, this Danish rider is one of the super talents that we've got racing with us. As a matter of fact, I'd say through all of the classics, this has been a go-to star, talking about Anderson here of the PO Auto team.
Yeah, Anderson's been showing up week in and week out. Super strong rider here from PO Auto. He's going to get caught, it looks like, by Arts and Moreno. They'll start working together to try and bring back that 11 seconds. Yeah, he really does need that here. Now, quickly, I am going to jump on over. This is going to be the C3s that we are in, and they are just finishing their climb over the top. We'll check in with them. And 20 seconds back is the chase group. We got Joey Walbeck and Nussbaumer there on the 3 that have made this here. Ogre Larson here, Benham Snowy from Dirt BC. And a few, it looks like, as well as Mr. Pink from the Big Ring Racing.
He's back.
Here. He is
big
back.
Fan.
And on the Pinktron. Bike selection here, Alpinists, alongside of that new, the new Specialized bike that is in there. I haven't seen too many of them out there, interesting enough, though. That's really the new climber if you can take a lot of time with, but not a ton of bike swaps from what I can see.
I saw some comments on the World of Zwift YouTube show, people talking about the bike. And there's a lot going on out there on the technical side with the equipment. We're looking at that turnaround moment. I did want to shout out Rudy Nussbaumer. That's a rider I've got my eye on, Nathan, for sure. Another one of the Kirkmeyer e-cycling riders. Certainly a rider I'd be watching out for today. Was a difference maker, it looks like, on that climb up. This is the Dirty Misfits that we're looking at. And Dave H. here is trying to get a feel, Nathan, for everybody that we've got. Snowy Pruitt is back in this group. Daniel Larson as well. This is Eric is racing. Zwift Insider, Eric Schlang. Nice to see.
He's back.
He's back. Yeah, let's see how he's doing on that climb.
See if we can find.
So this is we have so many racers out of Europe that these fields are massive
out here today.
C3s. Eric might be cursing up a storm right now.
Let's see if we can find him. We're attempting to look for him out on course.
I should say he was on my start list, Nathan. So
he's He's in here, but I'm not. It's not switching to him. So look at the speeds: 107 kilometers per hour. Some people are opening up that achievement. There's actually an in-game achievement for 100 kilometers per hour or more, and they hit well over that without even trying. So, we used to have to go to the top of Watopia Mountain and sprint off the tower to try and hit 100 kilometers per hour. These speeds, you can see exactly why gaps can open up on this downhill with how high they get. Just a couple of meters and a little bit extra wattage or good timing with an anvil, and you've got an extra 10 kilometers per hour. You're gone. I mean, that's an immediate 5 seconds.
I was talking with Ian Boswell this weekend at the Belgian Waffle Ride, and the conversation actually how many riders makes the perfect breakaway? And it really does depend. Obviously, sort of the one thing that you have to settle on is that everybody's equally committed and has as much to gain and lose by working. And if that's the case on most courses, it's 3 or 4 riders is really the number that you're looking for. If you can get 4 men or women that are all working well together, and the same thing with picking up the fastest speed possible on something like, to see, did you say 107 kilometers per hour? Because
I think it may have hit 110 even.
Yeah, so I mean, that's into the 66, 67 miles an hour range. That's about as fast as you can go on a bike. I mean, these days you hear about top pros, and since they banned super tuck, that's obviously going to change. But hitting 70 miles an hour, which is just mind blowing when you think about it and how terrifying that must be. But we're in with the electricspirit.co team right now because this climb has just blown up. Every field today will be same scenario. There's no gruppetto. There's no riding up this climb at an easy pace and expecting to be in any kind of competitive group. It's just all in. Short day out here today. 2 laps, 25 total. Okay, a little even under 25, Nathan.
Yeah, it's not, the length of the climb though and how steep it is definitely causes you look at it like that's a short course. Well, once you start getting on that climb,
so you spend a bit of time on that climb.
Yeah, you do spend a little bit of time on there. Now we do have a little bit of a over the top after catching him situation with this electric spirit that's still he was dropped on the downhill and then came back to the group and just rode right by. And Walbeck and Nussbaumer do not seem very interested at all, actually. It almost is as if they're like, let's let this group catch us. We'll work with them. Let Deutsch do some work out there, and he's not going to... I think they're just confident he's coming back into the fold, but he's pushing 3-2 here. This group, Nussbaumer, a little bit of a punch to just stay on, but this is a large group now at this point, and they're going to have some firepower to work, and I think maybe that has everything to do with the plans of Walbeck and Nussbaumer, that they knew that a large group like this would just bring the speeds right on up, and the Electric Spirit, that CEO rider there out of Scotland, would be in a lot of trouble dangling in solo off the front.
Yeah, making up that 8 seconds on a group like this that's just rotating through. It's going to be really tough to rejoin here. It's not going to be all that long until they're back on the climb. So this is the front of the race in our C3 field. We're going to bounce over and take a look at what's going on here with the C1s in Trofeo Bologna today. What is going on here? Lionel Vujasin still holding on to...
He's actually extending his lead.
Is that a minute?
He's actually extending his lead. Wow. It's gone out to about a minute at this point. He'll be able to see them on the way back here. They don't seem to have been working together too well to bring him back. I think they've given up the ghost a little bit here on that front. Almost. They are going to get a couple of more riders in just a moment, though.
Almost any other rider, there's maybe a handful of guys that you would say, well, I mean, he's got a pretty good shot of holding on here, versus if he pulls this off, it'll be an absolute miracle, right? And I'm, Nathan, much more in the kind of expecting Lionel to win at this point.
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be able to hold the reality of 5.5 to 6.
Even a strong chase group working together.
They could do around that maybe with a really good effort, but it's only going to match probably what Lionel could do, right? From what I'm thinking here. So I think Vujasin has really put this one in the bag the first time up over the top, making me eat my words a little bit from World of Zwift because I talked about how, but I did say if you do open up enough of a gap and you're strong enough rider, you just trust yourself, you may be able to just get away on the first time over the top. Not the usual, but heads and tails above the rest will make that happen, it seems.
Now's a good time to do some cross-channel promoting, Nathan, as I would have thought that Kristen Kolchinsky would have absolutely, well, so obviously ZRL coming up and everybody preparing for that, but this is the kind of course that she would have loved. Having a climb like this would suit her purposes. And if you'd like to learn more about her as one of our celebrated Zwifters, tune into the World of Zwift over at the YouTube channel.
Yeah, over at Zwift's YouTube channel, World of Zwift. Every week, Dave and I have a feature going on through the classics at least. So the Dave Told Meets has been awesome to see the riders behind the avatars. So question coming in from no other than one of our other Premier Division All-Stars here. This is going to be Vicky Nealon. Asking, it's a good question. Wondering why is Vujasin not C0? And AutoCAT systems, just like, and this has been a question
that's a great question, though. Yeah, that really is.
Here. And if so, this is where esports meets cycling,
gaming,
or you know, esports and sports meet, because in the gaming world, when it comes to ranking like this, and even in the real world, if you take a break for long enough, you it's a little bit different in the real world with pro licenses and things like that. But in the gaming world, if you derank, you then have to start ranking back up over time. I think that WTRL has taken a little bit of a mixed approach, because if I were to take a long break from a certain game, this recently just happened. I took a break from Apex, and I hadn't played for about 6 months to a year. I jumped back in, and I was bronze, which is the lowest rank you can possibly be. And in 4 days, I went from bronze to the top 1%, which is into platinum. And it's top 1 to 5% or something like that. The people who were playing against me were probably like, who is this guy? What the heck?
Yeah, and like, hey, get him out of here. What if
And I got out pretty quick, right? It was a couple of matches, won a few matches, and then boom, 4 days, I'm out, right? Vujasin's result here most likely will be 1 or 2 days like this, and then puts him in the correct category. So it's a deranking situation. And Vujasin's not in C5 though, right? So you can tell that it's fixed to not put him in the quote unquote bronze that like you would in another esport.
That was completely understandable, Nathan. I would also use this in real life example. Let's say you've got a pro rider, even better, a woman, and she has a baby, and then a year or 2 years later, she comes back. Well, in general, they're going to put her back into the pro field based on experience and body of work, and if she's not fit enough, she'll get dropped. But theoretically, she'll be able to find her way back. If you put her back in with the beginning women, it would be dispiriting to everyone. So it's sort of a middle ground, as you said, with our friends at WTRL and Martin, who's just doing. I mean, no one is working harder to create fair racing out there and figure this out than Martin Carew. I just give him so much credit, and it is always going to be a work in progress. But certainly, what we're looking at is exactly what Nathan said. Because Lionel's been off the platform for a while, he's going to kind of have to re-earn his stripes, but we didn't completely strip him back down to the very basic level. It sounds like that's sort of the way that the AutoCAT has figured things out. And that's why, with all the different metrics that they have, one of them must be, looking at what kind of previous experience did you have. So this is the chase group right now that we're looking at in the C1 races. This group, normally against any mortal human being, you'd say, well, they have a huge advantage here. Last part of the race, last 5K, they could even bring back 10, 15 seconds a K. Well, forget about it. Lionel Vujasin is gone. That man right now might as well be vapor, Nathan. They will not see him again.
Yeah, I agree. And let's talk about why the pack isn't chasing at this point too, right? Like they're
racing,
try and bring him back
racing for silver. So I'd love to talk.
And the narrative in their head then is I'm not going to work against these other riders at this point or put energy into chasing down someone I'm not going to beat over the top. And so that is wasted energy I could use against the riders around me.
Perfect.
And a lot of times that's the narrative that goes on in your head.
100%. Nathan, what happens is, look, we talk about that book of matches and burning matches. Even better, let's use bullets. You've only got so many bullets in your gun. If you go firing them all at Vujasin, who you've got no chance of even touching, you won't even wing him. Well, you're going to empty your chamber and have nothing to go against these guys and race for silver. At this point now, you've got to readjust and say, okay, this is the group I'm going to be racing against. And your mindset is 100% right. Just have to, every now and then, you can't always be racing for the win. If it's not realistic, you're going to blow your shot for silver. That's Roy Arts moving up to the front right now. As interesting comment from Dan, Nathan. Let's speak to that.
This is interesting, and I hadn't really thought about that on the downhill situation, that perhaps the heavier weighing bikes on the downhill
more aerodynamic.
We're the more aerodynamic, the heavier bikes are actually opening up gaps for some. Now, I'm not sure that I would really care too much about that, though, thinking about how the race is most likely going to be won. You could lose the race, though, to a bike that's getting away from you on the downhill if you're really under a lot of pressure. So there is that, because you do not want to be solo out on this 5.5K flat back out and back to those start pens. So on that front, yes, but at the same time, the final kick over the top of the climb, the lightest bike, I think, is where it is at. But that is very, very true, I think, for a few of the riders out there. And also, I think some of the lighter riders on those downhills really are feeling the reality of how much weight and aerodynamics do matter in this world. At those speeds, Dave, little changes like that really can exponentially create massive amounts of differentiation and speed. It's when you get, have you been in a Peloton, Dave, and you get going at like super high speeds and you're in the draft, and instead of using your brakes, you just stick your leg out a little bit to hit the wind?
Feather back, that'll drop you down 2 miles an hour. Right.
Exactly. Yep. And you can only do it at the super high speeds, though. And I think it's similar here, that those little changes at super high speeds, they end up being a huge amount of speed differentiation.
You start talking about the aerodynamics are really a lot different when you're over 50 miles an hour. That's, NASCAR and Formula One and those little tiny flaps, right? When you see the car spinning out, you see those flaps that pop up only when the car is going backwards. Right? How could that flap make a difference? Well, at those speeds, it does. And just like Nathan says, sticking your leg out makes a difference. I see this comment. I'm a big fan of Vicki Nealon, no doubt about it. I can't wait to watch her get back into the mix again. And her comment is interesting, and it makes sense, because I realize we've got Lionel here on he's actually just golden right now. So this gives me a moment to say that this AutoCat that we're involved with here with these classics is really a big step forward as far as marrying together sports and video games, because Nathan, you're the guy that really speaks both languages, and you're the liaison there. And I really do understand here how AutoCat is different, and for that reason, because of the weird time of year, we have so many riders that have been outside riding in the sunshine, coming back to Zwift now. Lionel Vujasin, perfect example. The speeds in the C1 are faster, like up Leg Snapper, for example. The speeds are ridiculously fast in the C1, even quicker than the C0s. And you can see why, but it won't always be that way.
Yeah, a little bit of sorting out to do for sure. And, I think on the overall as well, it'll continue to get refined. And I think there's also reality of not just the refining, but every single system is not going to have absolute perfection, right? And you take what you can get. And I think that in this AutoCat system, it's the best. It's the best solution in order to make sure that there isn't just pick whatever category you want and just choose the sandbag, right? So it'll start placing people well over time. And there's always a reality. I mean, when I showed up in my own story of racing, when I figured out I had some talent in cycling, a lot later actually than in endurance cycling, at least BMX early on, I had a lot of experience, but I didn't start in the cycling world until I was in my early 20s. And that immediately I'm winning at the Citizen or Cat 4 or 5 level. And, I wanted to win that series and really quickly got some upgrades or whatever. But There was just a reality that it had to get sorted out. So you do have these situations as well in real life. Maybe something could be done for the level that we're talking about here with Vujasin and the R3R that Vicky Nealon was talking about, though, as well.
See this? You see this in cycling when you have a high-level triathlete come over and do a USA cycling event where they've never raced or held a license before.
They just ride away from everyone.
And, everyone's like, my God, who is this woman? Right. Yeah, who is that guy? And it's like, well, they have a lot of experience pedaling a bike. They just don't take out a license in your sport. So, all right, Nathan, let's get back into it now with Lionel Vujasin at over a minute and a half ahead of this group. We've got the men who are going to be fighting. They're almost in their own race now, in a way. And no shame either here, as we see thru is back. Impressive job by the South African. Arts is here. These Juste, I was talking about, the Estonian rider is certainly one to watch in this group. Mads Bang Andersen comes in highly credentialed. Jorge Moreno there as well. So these are some of the riders that we're looking at in this front group. Starting to string out a little bit. Couple riders right now fighting even to stay in contact here as they're applying some serious pressure right now.
Yeah, I think
right
Andersen,
mid-fives.
Andersen, I think not maybe the pure climber, a little bit more of an all-arounder, punchier rider when it comes to, we've seen him in plenty of sprints, obviously, recently. But I think on a course like this, we do have the reality of the lightweights making the way to the front here. Womack and thru having an amazing ride. If she takes a top 3, even a top 5 here amongst these boys, that is awesome to see from the Wahoo Lacole rider here. 183 beats per minute. And this is the pressure point right here, Dave. This S-turn up into 20+% in just a moment here, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner. 25 at one point.
20, yeah, that's incredible.
Oh. Now 7 watts per kilogram from thru, and that's where the split's starting to happen. And these little gaps that open up, they just feel enormous on these 16% gradients here, and it's really difficult to bring it by.
Yeah, the perspective of going this slow because it's so steep is something riders this talented rarely experience. How about thru? This is quite a ride from the Wahoo Lacole, man, and he's going to come up and over the top out of this.
This is a woman. This is a woman, thru.
She is going to come up and out of this group. Holy cow.
Yeah, what a ride here coming in from thru. Huge ride.
Well,
what is this?
Talk about
She's
talent.
Using the new setup here, I believe. I think those are Mellensteins on the new S-Works.
Maud thru here, channeling her inner Ashley Moolman Passio, right? This is for the strong only right now. This is a pure watts per kilo effort. We're still at 13%. And Maud, wow. I apologize. This stands out as an incredible ride. This going through all of our classics. This is the 9th of 10. This goes down as the premier ride that I've seen, Nathan. Absolutely stunning stuff here from Maud thru out of South Africa on Wahoo Lacole.
Is this bike the new
I kept looking for
Athos?
Her name.
Is this the new Athos? I'm not sure if this is the new Athos or not that she's on. I think it is. I'm surprised she didn't put the Rovals on because I think you get them both. She may not be a level 32 though. That may be the
all those dudes should be happy she didn't because she is crushing them right now. Last thing they want to see is her finding another advantage.
I hope she didn't
right?
just DC because suddenly I got put back.
Oh no!
Oh no! Did she go too high? She may have gone. Her watts per kilogram might have been too high.
It might have exceeded the
level.
Yeah.
Vujasin with the window. There it is. Lionel taking it down. He got over the top
stunned.
so quickly. No, she's back. She's back. She just had a DC.
Oh, good.
She had a DC, I think, for a moment. Disappeared for a moment. Scared me there. Like, oh no, all of that work.
What a bummer after all this.
But
look at this. She's hanging at 6.5.
So she decided on the bike choice here. She decided Mellensteins, it looks like, on the new Athos frame, actually. And she's looking to try and bring back Juice. Juice here from BL13. His teammate Carter won this morning with a walkaway ride, actually. Not like what we just saw from Vujasin, but did have a solid 30 or 40 seconds over the top. thru has a solid 6.3. She might make the catch here on the BL13 rider.
Gareth, Gareth Just here is the rider who, if he looked over his shoulder, he would see her right there. And these two now, you can see the third group. Actually, so it's pretty amazing, isn't it, that we've already seen Lionel Vujasin finish coming into the last few meters. It looks like Gareth is going to have enough to hold on, but it's going to take everything he's got. As there she is, Maud, with the superstar breakthrough ride here on Zwift today. So Maud Lemieux has arrived. Gareth Just, will he hold on? And he does.
Just barely. He just barely did.
Barely.
It was so close there. What a ride by Leroux. Wahoo Lecole showing up. This is your top 10.
What heart.
To the line.
So Maud just showed you, not only does she have tremendous numbers, but she's got the spirit of a badger as well, fighting there at that last bit. She wasn't going to settle for the bronze. So
is the honey badger
that
thing
was awesome.
The rest of the world, do you think, Dave? Do you think the honey badger thing is the honey badger thing a thing for the rest of the world?
I think so. I think at least English language speakers, right? Because I think everyone's seen that YouTube video, right? Something like 3 million or billion people. But what a day. I feel like we are really back in full swing now with Lionel Vujasin showing up. Guy's an absolute legend, and he just smashes it here. So watch out, Season 4 ZRL. That'll send a shot across the bow for all the other teams out there. If you haven't been doing your work, I don't even want to think about what it's going to be like. And then we see Maud Lemieux have an insane ride today, and Gareth Just, a lot of credit there to drop the rest of that group and hold off Maud. A lot of work, a lot of fun to watch, that's for sure. We're jumping back in with our C3s now as they're into their final kilometer and a few hundred meters to go. And this one is done and dusted.
Look at this. Interesting to see. Thank you, Lionel, for coming on in and letting us know what's happening here. A little bit of a comment from our winner today. And
did you see that? Yeah, Lionel, man. Well, I'm really happy you're back.
Playing on Twitch during the race. So it sounds like he's over on Twitch now. And make sure to go check out Vujasin over on Twitch. As he was streaming on YouTube. He was streaming on YouTube before, but moved over to Twitch, which I actually would be very happy about with the way that Twitch does support a game as a game does grow. There's a little bit more support on that platform for individual streamers. So if you are looking to stream, I definitely follow Vujasin and the rest of the Twitch community to build your community around on that platform as of right now. Says out with heart inflammation and depression, slowly coming back. Well, coming back strong, and now riding for Croatian. That is the flag that you did see.
That was the
next
change.
To his name.
More importantly, we are 100% fans of yours, Lionel. So just know that we got your back, man. And we're really happy to see you.
100%. Great to see that the duck is back, and it looks like in full effect here as he took down that C1 race. We'll see how things play out as he gets through the upgrades. But I think that was an effort that could probably challenge at the top level. Lots of other comments coming through. Mike Dodd, thanks a lot for letting me know that that's the tarmac frame. I should be able to recognize that. But with the new all the new frames in game and the difference between them, can be hard to spot out there. Looking through a few more of the comments here. And Madeline with a super ride. Jocko Storm is letting us know. Amazing ride there coming in from Madeline. Newest Bomber, though.
I'm a huge
to take down
Rudy
the
fan.
C3s here.
Yeah, I was hype. I'm Rudy's hype man, his North American hype man. And I'm a big fan. And Rudy Nussbaumer here is channeling his inner Vujasin now, trying to drop the rest of this group again. This is legendary climb in Bologna. As Nathan, that one moment, it pops up to 25% there just for a few meters, but incredibly steep at parts. And I mean, it's super steep right now, and this isn't even closest to the steepest pitch out here on today's course. 25K, we're calling it. That's being generous. It's a little bit under that out there today, with a lot of climbing over the 2 circuits that they're doing in Italy. 460 meters of climbing by the time you've put paid. It just feels steep. I'm not even on my Wahoo kicker, and it feels steep here.
Yeah, this is 14% at this point as you take this right-hand turn. You start to get into the final, you know, efforts at this. When I take that right-hand turn into this 14, 13%, then it levels out up here. I almost get a little frustrated that it levels out because you're using that force so much. And you can kind of like have the expectation to slow down, let some effort off the pedals. This bomber actually brings it up, which is very, very smart, up in that 5.4 for just a moment. So that's going to gain him a little bit of speed. A lot of times riders back off a tad. You did see 3.5 for a second there, but back in the 7%. Now it does get a little bit easier on the gradients, but with a solid gap at this point, 11 seconds. Don't think Wallback's bringing that back. He is going to be challenging, though, for that third place. 7 seconds with a solid little chase of 3 behind with Orgard Larson, Benham from Vision, and Snowy there from the Dirt BC team. Looking at this, you know, between all of these riders, I think those 3 behind that they're going to be racing for third at this point. Let's Orgard Larson, 4.6. He's dragging this up here. This might not be done for second, actually.
Yeah, that's the thing about such a steep climb, Nathan, is that you can make up quite a bit if riders start to struggle. All of a sudden, you're pouncing right up on them. So it's not over till it's over. We actually saw that with Maud as she was closing down in those final few meters. So, all right. I see Mike's comments as well. Thanks a lot, Mike, for all your help out there today. Mike Samecki, another one of our talented riders, and agreeing with me that it's steep.
He's helping a lot with that agreement.
That was, that's some positive reinforcement, I think. Rudy is crushing it out here today. 13-second advantage over the Swede. Waldbeck, South African, Snowy, sitting a couple seconds back, and then it starts to tighten up a little bit because Benham is right with Snowy there. Then you've got Larson, the American rider, very Norwegian-sounding name there, or Swedish, says Larson there, sitting 22 seconds back. Schumann, the German, a little bit further back there, but Wallback, this is really the race right now.
Wallback was just waiting for them to just barely teasing them. He was almost teasing them to come and catch me, and then gave
Rudy
one kick and almost caught him. He actually almost caught at the end, but Rudy grabs it. Snowy there for third. Benham from Vision here taking fourth down, or Larson here fading. This was the rider who dragged them almost to the wheel of Wallback, actually, and then ended up, there was like a lead out train from the OTR guy, but unable to stay then after that lead out here. This is your top 10 we'll go through with Schumann. George there. This was the rider who was off the front on the flats trying to make something happen, but got caught by the pack and then dropped. But top 7, 7th place, not bad. Dave H. there from the Dirty Misfits, Larry Martin from ECC, and then Wahlberg from SZ trying to hold off Rary here out of Belgium. Looks like he's going to actually get caught as he's going backwards as 5.3 as Rory comes right on by there. The Belgian rider, 5.2 now watts per kilogram. So that's going to be your top 10, it looks like, as Mr. Pink just outside of the top 10. You can make a catch here.
If you're a scorekeeper, you're loving a finish like this. You could do it all by hand, a pad and a pen, as riders coming across one at a time.
String. Nice it's just a spaghetti string. This is essentially what it is, way back. As
it looks a lot like a Grand Fondo finish right now. Just everybody coming across the line, getting it done out there. That's what today's been all about. A severe climb, intense 25-kilometer journey. You can see these riders have been out there for 46 and a half minutes. So we are done and dusted. A fantastic day of racing for our C1s, C3, actually for everybody out of European East. We've got Central to look forward to and some results to check in on here.
Yeah, let's go and take a look at the results. Then we will be taking a short break as we wait for the start of the next races to jump on into. It's about 27 minutes to the start of the C3s and 25 minutes to the C1s for Central. But let's go ahead and take a look at how things played out today in the Eastern race that we just had. And obviously, as we did say, Lionel Vujasin, the Duck is back, winning by a full 1:13, a minute 13 over G. Goost. And Brooks there for third. Hold coming in for fourth there. Arts there in fifth. Erickson, sixth. Womack coming in for seventh. Eisen in eighth place. And Mads Anderson there in for ninth. And Moreno, he rounds out your top 10 today. Amongst the women here, Dave, what a ride here from Luru.
Yeah, and her watts per kilo were even greater than Lionel Vujasin's out here. Maud, you are officially a star in my esports book. This was a ride. I will. Isn't it amazing, Nathan, how a ride like that will permanently put someone into your memory bank? Maud, you're a hero. LaRue out of South Africa, 5.2 watts per kilo, 40:47 was her winning time out there. And she actually had to chase back on the flat section there and then really let things play in her hands. So that's fantastic. Karat taking second for the women out there. I mean, and again, 4.4 watts per kilo. You can see that her time there, Nathan, would have had her winning in that C3 race that we just watched. So that's fantastic job by the women out here today.
And in with the C3s, let's go ahead and take a look at how things played out for the men. And it is going to be your buddy Rudy Nussbaumer coming in, and he's riding for Kurtz.
Rudy can't fail, as the Clash say.
Now, he had a solid 30 seconds. So Wallback, he really made an effort at the end there, coming within 3 seconds. Nice job to Wallback there, hold on to second place over Pruitt there out of South Africa in for third. Benham comes in for fourth. Larson followed up by Schumann in sixth. George out of Scotland in seventh. The husband in for eighth. Martin ninth. And then it is going to be Rary, the Belgian rider that we saw just nip it at the line there for 10th place at 120 back from the leader. And I don't believe we have any of the ladies finishing just as of yet out here within this group here. We'll see if we can maybe catch a few of the finishes here. I believe we're already in the pens, though, for some of the other categories. But, Dave, this is the Zwift Classics. Next week, for those that are tuning in for the first time, we've been doing all of the classics. August 31st, we will be doing the London International. We still don't go anywhere, though. We still have 2 races to cover here with both the Central and Western European C1s and C3s coming up very shortly. Very different course next week, though, with the London International, Dave. Like super flat course
diametrically
versus
opposed. Yeah. The sprinters get their crack at it, right? The final week in our classics. It's been great. Absolutely fantastic array of courses. The racing has certainly not disappointed. So, as you said, Nathan, we're not done for the day. Take a short break. Time for a quick panini. And we'll be back.
This is a quick course, so our break today is going to be a little bit longer than usual. Make sure to, though, while you're waiting for the next races to start, a couple things that you can do. You can hit that follow, subscribe, put some chatter in there, like buttons, all that stuff that helps out the channels. Crossover at YouTube, Twitch, as well as Facebook.
Watch World of Zwift.
Places. World of Zwift. What is that? It's about a 25-minute show, I think. So that's a perfect thing you could go do as well.
Yeah.
And then as well as you can check out Kristen Armstrong's workout series. We did the first one about this course, actually. Go and check out what that's all about. That is going to be listed on the YouTube channel as a VOD. I believe it's also going to be in the other places. But the VODs are usually easiest to find, obviously, on YouTube. And then sign up for the TTT on Thursday. Maybe jump in for our next races. You still got plenty of time to get on 20 minutes or so. And then the ALZ ride, there's so much going on, Dave. It's awesome. So just to give you a heads up on the whole of the week, we also have the Ride to End Alzheimer's on Sunday. And you can donate for that as well. Huge cause that we support here at Zwift Community Live. We've been doing now since the pandemic, actually last year. So it's been really great.
It's our 4th one.
Yes,
I can't wait. All kinds of new guests and exciting things. And man, it means a lot to us if you come ride. That's for sure. So look forward to seeing you there. So, man, a lot of things. I've got to watch World of Zwift. I'm going to watch the Kristen Armstrong workout series. I'm going to sign up for WTRL on Thursday, which, by the way, 123rd WTRL. Thank you to Stephen and Martin for the incredible work that they do. Big shout out to those guys and Martin specifically. Thanks for all of your hard work on AutoCat. I love seeing all the positive feedback out there. Nathan, I can't believe that we get to have a lunch break at Zwift Community Live now. I like these 25K days.
14 minutes to stream start, everybody. We'll put some tunes on, and we will see you soon. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have the Central European race. I have a feeling with what we've seen, it's today with Vujasin showing up and coming into Zwift season, don't go anywhere. I think we're going to have some big hitters again. So see you in about 14 minutes or so.
just want your words, 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 words. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Now I'm standing tall. I will never fall. Concentrate on the tightrope. The hope that you'll make it through to the other side. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh. Be who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Oh, 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 oh.
And the lunch break is over. Welcome back, everybody. Good to see you. And we are in with the Central European Zwift Classics here on Zwift Community Live, Trofeo Bologna. We just saw a return to the world of Zwift racing and esports from Lionel Vujasin dominating the C1s. I did get a couple of comments coming on through looking for across what is going to be the categories we'll be covering. We'll be jumping across a few of the categories, C1, C3 mainly. We might jump in and get a look at the C0 for just a moment in there as well. But it definitely has been a tough day. Lots of the comments, as far as the racing goes, a lot of the comments coming through about how good this has hurt. And I think, it's type 2 fun kind of situation. You have this, you did accomplish a lot with it, obviously. And I think there's both satisfaction and, wow, that was painful coming through.
If you're in North America, Nathan, and you're using this as your, I thought I left my mic off. I'm getting better at that, aren't I? If you're using this as your lunch break, this will probably be the most intense hour as far as physical effort that you're going to make during a lunch all year. Bologna is nuts. I actually, Nathan, while we have a second here and get everyone out on course, I've never commentated on a race on this course before. It's pretty rare, actually, that we go to Bologna. It's event only, so I've never ridden here either. I've never felt what 25% be like at 100% trainer setting, right? I actually ride at 50, which I think is what most of the riders in ZRL use.
Yeah, I
think that's pretty accepted.
Default settings too. So
yeah. But yeah, at
working
100%, you would think that most smart trainers are almost going to feel like it's locked, right? I mean, that is so much wattage that you have to make. I guess it also depends on how much you would weigh as well. But that all being considered, this is a brute of a course. First time up the climb, things really blow up. I think it's fantastic that this was a Giro d'Italia stage. I could only imagine the fun that they had when they designed this course. And let's take a look at what the 24.3 kilometers of racing looks like. It's 2 laps around the circuit that Nathan is showing us right now. Everything you've seen is basically flat until the climbing comes at you, and it is a wallop. Body blow after body blow on this climb. It barely flattens out. Nathan, you were commenting on that in the last race. You can see about 3/4 of the way up, it flattens out there for a couple 100 meters. And for the real climbers, they almost don't like that because they want to keep pouring it on and pouring it on. But then you can see everyone who has had enough. No mas by the time you get to the top. We've seen some riders, though, Nathan, got to give a shout out to Maud Leroux, the South African. She, breakthrough ride for me. If we're going to meet a new person on Dave Toll Meets for World of Zwift, I would say, let's go to South Africa and meet Maud. I want to know this woman's story. Also, I saw Alice Lethbridge, Nathan, was chiming in. She had a tough crash out there this weekend in real life racing. So I want Alice to know that, one, we're always pulling for you. But I saw she's healing already, getting better by the minute. So Alice, keep your head up.
Be on the watch out when a lot of comments are coming through on the Zwift Community Live chat
from
with
Vicky and Alice.
Vicky, Alice, Vujasin, Starnecki. I mean, they've got a lot of names showing up all of a sudden. Obviously, eyeballs are vision is turning toward the future of season 4 coming up very quickly. And
we're in preseason
registration is about to open up. So, be on the watch out for that. And
we also,
all right. Nathan, so I do have to jump in. I'm glad that we jumped in, and I had a little bit of a heads up on the C0s, and I just gotta. This is telling me everything that we need to know when it comes to
stoked.
Where things are at. So. Very cool to see. We'll jump in there just a second. I'm seeing names though. Abrantes from, which is cool. It's kind of new school versus some of the old school, as that Veritas team is showing up. But we've also got Eddie Uhl. We've got we're seeing Laverick. Ed Laverick is showing up, and I mean, if you've been watching his YouTube, he's climbing like a maniac right now. Kerr is here as well, who we saw earlier today walk away, actually. So it'll be a second race, B. Kerr, I believe. This is going to be an interesting race in the C0s, that's for sure. The C1s are just taking off as well, so we'll be jumping around there and seeing how things are playing out with them.
Get ready to get Lavericked, folks. This won't be pretty.
I want to see that. This is going to be interesting to see whether or not it plays out similar to what we just saw with Lionel. I mean, he isn't amongst the C0s though. Which is a little bit different situation.
Let me just, for folks that weren't with us, Nathan, that's a great question. Lionel Vujasin, the Slovenian, was the new flag that we saw for Lionel. Croatia. I apologize. Now I will remember that. Sorry, Lionel. It's all new to us. So many changes to talk about. Lionel absolutely rode away from the rest of the field in the C1 race. We hadn't seen Lionel for a little while. He talked about some health issues that he had and coming back from that. And he was absolutely flying, making 5.3 watts per kilo to hold off an elite chase group of, let's call it, less than a dozen riders, more like 8 riders. But it was a runaway win out there. The other outstanding performance that we witnessed was from Maud Leroux. She was a South African who was extremely talented, and that was the first race win with Zach Nair. Good to see the next rider. We talked about it on Tuesday. Ashton Lambie breaking that 4-minute barrier in the individual pursuit. I don't know if I'd call it stunning because it's always been Ashton's capacity, but one of the greatest rides in human history taking place down there in Aguascalientes on the super fast high altitude velodrome with his teammate, Zach Nair's teammate, that being Ashton Lambie. But Ashton has raced with us out here in the ZRL, in the community, and we are more than proud. So Zach, one of the best riders we've got going out there these days. He stayed on top of his game and certainly going to be a guy to watch. Now, when they hit the climb, they're 1.5K in, hit the climb at about 6K in, and that's where all hell breaks loose, Nathan.
Now, interesting enough to see, we'll head on over to the C0s for just a moment here, and Magala is here from Veritas, has actually been off the front a little bit, and they do have 3 riders. Now, this kind of a situation with a small group, only 18 riders in the C0s. This is the top of the top, categories here. And so with 3 riders like this and up against some pure climbers, if you do have a team with a smaller group, sending attacks off the front with your 2 non-climbers is the way to go, in my opinion, to really force others to do some chasing.
Because of AutoCat, I think, Nathan, it's probably worth quickly referencing that we're in the beginning of a new era of esports racing and AutoCat. There's Thomas Thrall. We were talking about Thomas, the Canadian, in the earlier race, Ed Laverick in this group. But Nathan, these riders aren't in scripting, or what's a better word, signing up or choosing themselves what category they're in. They're going where the system, the AutoCat, tells them to go. And so it creates a different vibe. As far as and so far, you're going to see riders are a little bit more. Well, you answer this for me, Nathan. Because of that, you see a less team racing. Is it more individuals because you can't group up with your team and maybe have some riders kind of slide down the scale, some riders slide up the scale? You're going where they tell you to go now, if you follow what I mean.
Well, in the classics,
you don't get to bring your gang
individual
with you.
race, whereas in the because WTRL does all
ZRL,
of the registration
you sign up with
ZRL, you sign up with a team, so the
right,
team gets
different
put wherever
deal.
they are. Whereas here,
sure,
individuals.
That's not AutoCat. Just to be clear, ZRL is not an AutoCat event. It's a
what
team.
Would be interesting? I wonder if AutoCat's going to be employed on the team situations as well, though, down the road. So
it'll be, and that's the direction that you'd expect we're going, right? I would.
100%. I think down the road we may start seeing something like that, but that is way over my pay grade when it comes to data.
Or almost like you're almost, Nathan. I mean, I'm glad that I can even basically comprehend this. I laugh at when I think about where I was a year and a half ago with understanding esports, but almost like your team is going to have to be selected out of riders that meet some kind of AutoCat qualification or something like that. But either way, this is the Veritas team. Veritas, we're talking about a Portuguese squad that is in the Iberian or Portuguese history, going all the way back to the Roman times, one of the first outliers that stood up against the Roman Empire. And that's a great name for a team, and you're going to see a lot of Portuguese flags, although there are probably 3 different teams represented with Portuguese riders in this group.
Yeah,
at least a couple.
That has been true, actually, as of lately, too.
Maybe not, though. They all look like Veritas today, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah, but
other
times we've
getting
seen
picked up, it looks like, by Insured. So that is
we're seeing so many changes.
big
Caroline Williams going over to Canyon, right, Nathan? We saw that the other day.
That's a pretty big pickup. That's a
very
different situation with Williams hanging out on that team. It's going to really change things up, I think, amongst the Canyon v. Hino situation on the women's side of things. First time over the climb for Ed Laverick. He is a hill climb champion. I think this guy...
He's a machine.
When it comes to climbing, that's his thing.
I wonder,
Nathan, loves days like this.
I wonder how much Ed has raced against the cool man, Edward Uhl. I don't know that they've seen each other that much. And it's going to be interesting to watch how these do these riders square off here? We're talking about Lionel Vujasin coming back into the racing. Well, same thing here. It's been a little while since we've seen Ed Laverick, but he has, how do you put it, high credentials, Nathan? One of the stronger, more respected riders out here without any doubt.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a head-to-head with Eddie Uhl and Laverick, perhaps. You know, Abrantes as well as a name I'd be watching out for. Shell Power too, Thrall.
Oh, yeah, Shell Power.
You know, those four names, I think, toward the front end of this race. But I think when we get to the pointy end of the race, we're going to see something special, I think, when it comes to what Laverick versus whoever's able to hang on when it's time to go and it gets to those really steep sections of the course. I think
it'll be a really hard group.
Pretty hard break, I think, early on. Yeah. With only 18 riders, though, it makes it even more interesting because you can risk a lot without a large pack to chase.
Yeah, this is a course that really suits that. The brave rider benefits greatly from a park course like we have. Zach Nair is still on this group, correct? Because he's also a rider. I'm just making sure that
actually is in our C.
He's in C3s.
He's jumping in the C1s, actually. He's in with the C1s.
I'm sorry. You know, it's different is we've got, the C1s, the C0s. The C1s are not the top ranked category. C0s, C1s, and C3s all to follow along with. These are the C1s that we're in with now. And here we go. Taking a look at the numbers up in the top right-hand corner. It never goes under double digits for long, for quite a while here.
Yeah, we do have watch out for the FFZ team here too as well. Malbreyer, they're another French rider. So France showing up on the day with Holt from DZR now taking over toward the front. It looks like, and on the 6 to 7 watts per kilogram for a moment. This is the initial kicks, and not going to be the moves that are really going to win the race out here, but definitely are going to split the pack up just a little bit behind. Snickers showing up again from No Pins R3R. I thought he was on a little bit earlier today as well. So
I think we have a couple riders. I'm going to have you check in and see if they're back for their second race. Morten Holt was the rider that we were with before, the Danish rider who's clearly on a good day out here today. Snickers, right, tucked into the sweet spot of the group. Nice job positioning by Snickers from No Pins R3R here. Portuguese rider Nunes looking good. That's Pedro there for the team we were just talking about, Veritas. But this is Morten Holt right now, the Danish rider putting everybody.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just kind of trying to set a steady tempo at the front here.
Drop a few guys along the way, I'm going to imagine.
His own ride. It's not a full-on attack, I don't think. I think this is just, okay, what can I hold? I wouldn't say comfortably, but it's comfortably hard. 5'8", though. I mean, this guy, Holt, has got a serious FTP. Then I'm going to double-check these numbers because, I mean, wow.
I like this. This is, I mean, so he's not going ballistic. Clearly looks to me like Morten is riding within himself, but he's going to, as they start to respond back there, you're going to see this group have itself and then have itself again, Nathan. I think by the time we go over the climb this first time here, and that is complete, that's a huge group, actually. Right now, I expect it to be down to 14, 15 riders, to tell you the truth, after this first trip up the climb. It gets very, very steep up here in just a bit.
He's actually, from what I'm seeing here, amazing. His 5-minute power is almost up to that 6 watts per kilogram, 442 watts actually. So this is a punchier rider that we are looking at here right now with Holt. Level 45 Zwifter, it looks like, riding for that DZR team.
I mean, yeah, pretty solid. I admit I'm not familiar with Morten Holt. This is how we've had a few riders that have had rides like this showing up at the classics and really impressing us. And I think we're witnessing another one because look how this is stringing out now, Nathan. I mean, watch this. This is how the selection get made. It might be happening right in front of our eyes as a few more riders are going to try to jump into this group. You can absolutely hear the alarm bells ringing at the back of that group. And looks like we're down to a little more than 20 now. in this front group that we've got here. It's going to get smaller and smaller. It's Zach Nair, talking about Zach, expecting him to be an impact rider, and he is today.
Yeah, jump across
Restart the team.
I mean, interesting enough, these guys are pretty close to where each other are at, which tells me that the C1s were traveling faster on their way over here than the C0s, maybe just because of the reality of the course and not the course, the amount of riders that are at the front there. And we do see next here on the front hammering right now with their.
Yeah, he's going to split this a couple of times here. Just right at 6 watts per kilo is Zach Nair, and that nobody wants to go much harder than that. You can see Holt, though, starting to lift it a little bit now. They can feel it right there, Nathan, at 7, 8 riders back. That is the small gap that is dangerous. And, yeah, the fight to get across that now is massive.
Vicky Nealon having an amazing ride on the back of this here. Wow. Huge here from Vicky. She's looking to go across, actually, not get dropped because she can sense that these riders are unable to hang on. That splitting right there is extremely crucial as to whether or not you are going to be involved in this race. And,
but the one thing is when it's this steep, Nathan, for Vicky Nealon, who is that cocktail napkin with an outboard motor attached to it, this is where the course suits her incredibly well. This is her strength, and Nealon is going to climb right back into this group. Looking at one of the superstars.
Well played. Yeah, she actually gaps that group behind her now. Real quickly, I do want to jump over Eddie, showing us exactly what he wants to do.
Eddie Uhl.
It's on the attack in the C0s here. And he is not waiting up for anybody, regardless of how many are behind here. Him and Gel Power have opened up an 8-second gap at this point. Laverick playing patient, perhaps? No, Laverick at 181 beats per minute, interesting enough. I mean, that's a pretty high heart rate for Ed here, so maybe on the back foot, and Eddie Uli letting us know, Toyota Cryo RDT out of South Africa, they have shown up here coming into the fall. Zwift season, watch out. I have a feeling Cryo RDT, man, this is so great to see. We just saw Canyon, now Cryo RDT, and Short is here with Power. You're starting to get a feeling that each and every one of the teams have been really putting some work in with their all-stars.
And yeah, this is a superstar. When you talk about Eddie, I love the way that this man races. The South African just is so dynamic. And there you go, dropping an anvil. You have to get used to even seeing that power. I guess it's a power down. Isn't it? I mean, is it 10 kilo? I should check my notes. I believe it's 10 kilo that you're adding to your weight. So a man who's flying even gets a little more advantage out here right now. One of those rare opportunities in cycling where adding weight is an advantage. And so that's going to be Eddie Uhl. Again, it's going to be Chell Power, the Belgian rider right behind him. We talked about Thomas Thrall. Good to see the Canadian is in the mix. And as we take a look, Mark Bruce, the next rider, along with Scat Catanzaro, the two next riders. Are going to be interesting to see how things play out for them here. Next, another one of the teams, that's going to be Mark Bruce that we're with right now, the familiar kit, the green and black of Next right there. Ed Laverick is right behind them.
Actually, so Thrall
a lot of horsepower here.
Insured. I didn't recognize that Thrall was riding for Insured, actually. So he actually has Gel off the front and looking to get back on terms. He will do so. It's only 1 second. He's going to need a solid jump. Laverick actually having to jump really hard. This is going to open up to maybe 2 seconds, but Thrall, the kind of rider I think that can quickly come across. He's going to need a little bit of a jump here, though. Can't go to 0 for too long here, Thomas. Really waited just a little long there. 14 watts per kilogram, though, and this guy's got quite the sprint. Now up in the 15, so look at the numbers right now. Whew.
Boy, when you got that kind of power, you can correct little problems, can't you? So many other people who Zwift see that, and they're like, oh, la, la. What a luxury it is to be able to make those kind of watts, although he's certainly having to do, there you go, he's going to tag right back on. Again, this is Thomas Thrall, the Canadian from the Insured team that we're looking at. He's going to go right by Nathan.
Wasn't Thrall the winner of the first ZRL season 1, race 1? I believe he was. I'm not, and that was the kind of.
We should go check. I think you're right, to tell you the truth. Let's take some inventory.
KOM over in Sand and Sequoias, actually. So,
Bruce Kerr's having a great day here. The New Zealander right up in this group. I'm just taking some quick inventory, Nathan. Is this a good moment? We've mentioned Ed Laverick, the rider out of Wales on Wahoo Lacole. Gel Power, Insured is his team. Thomas Thrall, also with Insured there. And for Bruce Kerr, trying to figure out his team, obviously Toyota Cryo RDT for Eddie.
Eddie's
Very popular rider
front.
holding them off right now. 3-second advantage.
I wonder, it's like as this story plays out in front of us with what Toyota Cryo RDT has done, what is the narrative here that's ended up playing out? That did this actually do anything? Or was this, looking behind, did it cause the 30-second gap that is and whittle down this pack behind him? Or would that have happened either way? And really, this was a risk that was taken and now may not be paying off quite as much.
Well, Eddie's pulling the pin on it right now. He's not going to throw good money after bad, as he realizes, I think, he can pick up the vibe of what you're saying for sure. We've got another 22 minutes of racing here. Eddie is in certainly the kind of form I'm going to expect that he can reset. And we are going to reset. This race moves into phase 2 now, Nathan, as the Toyota Cryo RDT rider is going to allow the deck to be reshuffled. But you can see all the work that these guys have done is taken it down to a race of, do we have 8 here? This is our C0s that we're in with. Some big names, very recognizable names.
I think we have 7 on the front here.
7, okay. And I think you are correct there. So, and those 7 are absolutely the cream of the crop out here. Although I must say, it's nice to see some new names to me. I was mentioning Bruce Kerr earlier, and Mark, another one of the runners, Mark Bruce there out of the United Kingdom, who's done a great job staying right up in this group. Rob Wood, the INC
Innovation,
rider.
Innovation, yeah. Not a familiar name, but look, well, he should be.
Is now. Yep.
I mean, he's got a ZRL helmet on, so I mean,
feel, Nathan, right now,
obviously, we should know who this guy is. Oh, come on now, commentary team, right? Like he's got
100%.
He literally
Rob
has a championship helmet on that is one of the rarest items in game that you can possibly get. So, Rob Wood here, for
hardest to earn,
showing up.
It's because it's not just you wanting it. You got to find a team to get that helmet. They were just introduced. I think that is extremely cool. So that was Rob Wood. Write that name down in pen. You're going to be hearing a lot more about that man who's really arrived for the INC team. That's innovation. We're going to let's take a look at who else is. So certainly no surprise. Ed Laverick comes in as one of your danger men. Gel Power as well. I mean, Insured has 2 really strong riders and a nice little advantage right now. Although, Nathan, I'm going to throw it back to you with this comment. This climb in Bologna, here in Italy, this Giro d'Italia course, it is every man for himself when you're on that climb. As steep as it gets, there's nothing a teammate can do to help you. You got to absolutely.
There really, I mean, the only thing, and it would be only if it's like a super if situation, right? If you got to the point where it flattened out and you have that like 1K to go, you could have a rider go to the front because it does get flat enough there, but everyone would have to be able to hang to that point that's on your team that wants to work together. The reality is a lot of times the splits are going to be happening before that. But if you did have a teammate there, you could end up with a lead out train to try and, get away a little bit extra. If 1 or 2 riders do make it to that point, but that would be about it. Now, the reality is that we do have Thrall and Gel Power together out here, as well as the next rider, Mark Bruce, is here. Does he have a teammate, though? I thought he might have had. No, it's Scott Cananzaro is at the back. So, yeah,
a little bit of a surprise.
Insured.
Scott is a super strong rider, but again, we don't know where everyone is at in their fitness, and some riders are certainly going to be coming back. But Nathan, one place where having 2 teammates could really help you is if you had a rider that you were chasing into the finale. But in all honesty, yeah, this is going to be a real throwdown, as it looks like Kerr is going to take a run at it here. Good for him. Get out in front of it as we're through the mid part of this race. Again, 2 times up. The significant feature here in Bologna.
Maybe they see this. Maybe they see next coming back. Wahoo Cole coming back. They've got this chase happening. Megales here from Bike Zone is on the, they already got dropped once over the climb. Most likely not a threat, but they could cause a little bit of a mayhem here in just a moment. So perhaps what's happening is Kerr is saying, enough, come on, let's get moving here. We've got some riders coming back, and Kerr may feel the threat of those riders because he may not be, you don't want more people to come back if you don't think you're maybe the strongest on the climb, but at least I can settle for, maybe that's not what Kerr's thinking, but sometimes in my mind, I'm like, well, these other riders dropped me, and you're like, look, more bodies here is not good. Let's keep as much space as we can between me and these riders for this climb.
Let me put it this way. Once you've dropped some riders, do you want to go through dropping them again? Or would you rather just keep going? And I completely hear you. And you know what, Nathan, though, with tactics, right? This is a huge advantage when you are in a group and you've got a strong teammate right behind you, is it really does allow you that luxury of sitting on a little bit, looking at the other guys and saying, hey, it really is kind of your responsibility to set the pace here, because right 3 seconds behind me, I've got Scott. He's a super strong teammate of mine, so I'm not going to push to hold him off right now. So many subtle dynamics, or sometimes not even that subtle at all, to tell you the truth. And this is just going to come down to a thread. And I love all the Vespas. It's so Italian. I'm a big fan of Bologna here. Nathan, this is going to be, let's see who gets served up the pasta bolognese at the top of this climb, because you're going to really earn it here. Vespa in Italian means wasp, like a bee, a wasp, right? It's because of the buzzing all over the streets, and I think it's a great name. A lot of motor pacing behind those things.
Everybody's getting stung right now. Bruce
getting stung by Mark Bruce.
Yeah,
Mark Bruce out of the United Kingdom.
All back together. I'm surprised that this came back together this way. So reset now.
Scott's back.
Will there be a counterattack? They may all be thinking, at least, okay, I would be thinking with a little, about 6 or 6.5K to go to the bottom of that climb, you've got some landscape to work with here. And if you do have teammates or something, I would start playing some games with the pure climbers to just force them to do something. As we do see power-ups used here, specifically to get a new power-up. Nobody wants that burrito, it looks like, so they're waiting to try and grab something else.
Next is in Fuego right now, with Ashton Lambie setting the world pursuit record, going sub 4 minutes. This team, absolute dynamos in the Zwift Racing League. Such a fun team to watch. And this team looks like they are stepping up a level, which gets to be incredibly hard to do. But watch out for that green and black jersey out here. And we've got another next rider in the other race as well. This race, this is C1, I believe, that we've just jumped in with. Here's Vicky Superstar Nealon, tucked into this group, the Heino rider, who is clearly in the ultra elites of the ZRL. And she's
really impressed here that she got back on terms and over the top of that climb. I did see her fighting on the downhill a little bit to stay with this group. This is a top 12, right? I want to say there's riders here that got dropped off.
Climb.
Gray,
she won't be the last rider out of this group.
Now I got a comment coming through here that's pretty cool to see. Snickers, from what I'm being told here, this is actually is this an Olympic athlete from way back in 2000? From what I'm being told, Snickers is Mark Steinel, who ran the marathon in the Olympics in 2000 for Great Britain. From what I'm being told. Hopefully that's a true story. But
to make that up, you'd have to be such a maniac to do something
that's
like that.
really specific, right?
Yeah.
Super specific.
What kind of sick maniac would do that? So, Chris, I believe you. That was the Sydney Games that down in Australia. So it fits the mindset of a marathon runner to be good here. Although that means that was 21 years ago that he was running the marathon at the World. So he's got to be in his 40s.
About how long ago that? Did you just say 2000 was 21 years ago? Coming out of Morocco as well. Hey. Saad Karadine is getting some cheers in game here. So good to see that. I'm going to give him a little bit of shout out. I noticed that country flag, and Morocco, not a country flag that we see a ton of. And so always like to highlight the ones that we are
Morocco.
not super familiar with. So good to see Morocco showing up on the day. We also have this is an interesting country flag with Haldane,
I've never
ICC.
seen that. That is awesome. The yellow with the Union Jack up in the top corner.
Yeah, that is.
Where's
an interesting
Martin?
one.
While we're
There is.
researching that, Nathan, I saw Chris Koch's question about the Zwift music playlist. I see you've overlooked that question because
well, that one
it's your
is,
priority music. It's your
That one's a little more
not
difficult
priority.
to answer. That one's a little more difficult to answer, but yeah, we'll go ahead and contact Nathan. Contact Nathan. We'll have a chat about music and
that music is like Pavlovian response for me. When I hear it, I get stoked because I know I've got some esports racing to look forward to. So,
level
it's powerful
31
stuff.
Zwifter here. Haldane, Dave, level 31, age 50 plus, coming out of Niue, 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 I believe it is. And we're going to get some education from Chad, I think, here. It's an island country over in the South Pacific. We've had a few of these. South Pacific Ocean island country.
Yeah.
Known for its limestone cliffs and coral reef dive sites. Migrating whales swim to Niue's waters between July and October. Pretty cool to see here. It's got giving you dialing code. It says that the population is 1,620 people. 1,600. There's more people in my neighborhood.
Coral reef diving and migrating whales. Sounds beautiful.
Is this for real? Like, wow. Independence.
Yeah, doesn't it? So it's down by New Zealand.
Self-government, 1974. So there you go. There's your education. Welcome to Sesame Street.
They use the New Zealand dollar as their currency. So they are South Pacific, it sounds like. That's the smallest country I've ever heard of. I cannot believe how cool this is.
And it's in to talk about Zwift's priorities being pretty
we gotta
awesome
get this
too,
onto
right? That they put this flag in game here too. Pretty awesome.
You can get a hotel there, a 3-star hotel, for $163 a night right now. So,
all right, let's go, Dave. Broadcasting from Niue.
We need to go.
I don't know if they're going to have I don't think they're going to have. I mean, what's the internet like there? Obviously,
I don't know what World of Zwift's budget looks like.
Is he riding there right now, though?
Oh, so that's a good point. There's always the chance that that's where he's from, but right now he's in.
Yeah. All right, there's a monster attack that took place in the C0s that I wasn't sure was going to stick here, but
gosh.
Bruce is off the front from Next, and now Next have a situation where Catanzaro is sitting in. Are we saving it all for the climb? Yeah. They're actually having a conversation about what are we going to do about Bruce, who's off the front here.
Oh, good grief. So...
Look at Scott. Look at Scott at 2.6 saying, I'm not doing anything. Now, Scott, I'm not sure is a threat, though, to everybody else with him getting dropped in the first climb, or was he saving something, keeping his cards?
Or is he? You know what? I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Next pull out a 1-2, pull a rabbit out of a hat here. Scott is a super strong rider, Catanzaro, that we're talking about. Now he's in the catbird seat with a teammate up the road and a super strong teammate at that, as Mark Bruce is the rider right now who's just perfectly suited for this course today. He comes in at under 60 kilo, and he flies like an angel on this climb. So I can see Ed Laverick tucked right into this group.
Look at it. He's even saying we're racing for a second now. He thinks Bruce is gone. Joe Power says, no, I'm not. Hamlet's going now because they're trying to set up Laverick here, most likely, forcing them to chase at this point. Bruce 5.5,
it's got bananas
seconds now. It's all in. Eddie off front earlier here from Toyota Cryo DT now saying, what am I going to do about this? Is he's solo when it comes to that team. And we have an amazing race here in the C0s at the top level racers out of Central Europe.
Mark Bruce is your solo leader, holding on to a 14-second advantage as they come into, let's call it, about 3K of racing. And there is the vanguard right now. I have to agree with Scott. The next team is got to love their position right now. So Mark Bruce is going to level up to hero status if he can pull this one off for the next team. That, again, out of the United Kingdom is Bruce. We're calling that advantage 13 seconds now. Back to strongman out of South Africa, Eddie Uhl on the Toyota Cryo RDT. I mean, there's some big names. Rob Wood of
I can't believe he's doing this work right now.
Thomas Thrall.
This work here that he's doing, Dave, right now, I mean, he just doesn't even seem to care.
This needs to turn into a Viking boat, man. We need everybody to row right now. We don't need one rower. We need everybody to grab an oar and start pulling on it, man. If they're going to make that catch, only one guy gets to sit back, and that's Scott.
Yeah, and I mean,
Viking
Eddie here, 6
time,
watts
man.
per kilogram on the front right now, just making it difficult on a 3% gradient, actually opening things up just a tad. We go to here, this is over 5 meters. They're not going to draft on him, and that's what I would like to see if I were Eddie Uhl. I would not want them just sitting on my wheel, getting a freebie back to the wheel of Bruce at this point. Scott just sitting in and doing a great job as a teammate.
Yeah, 100%, Nathan. If they're not coming through and helping, you need to get some separation and just go off on your own. This now is going to be Thomas Thrall. So insured here in the green jersey. They've got a couple of riders in this group. Thrall is one of them here. So this one isn't over. You can watch the odometer. It's going to roll over 23K. This course comes out right in the mid-24s. The gradient kicks up. So this group now, they're going to run out of real estate pretty quickly, but that gap is just now coming down to 10, even under. They're coming back quickly on Mark Bruce. As a matter of fact, Bruce looks like he's going to be caught now, Nathan. A valiant effort. I mean, full-on hero status, but even Mark Bruce might not hold off the monster man, Ed Laverick, the pride of Wales, and Laverick is ready to take him and just start wailing on it. He's got Kerr, Uhl, Thrall, Scott Catanzaro, the teammate there. Can he benefit from his teammates' work and try to go over the top? There's Chell Power as well, the white jersey here, pressing. But Ed Laverick sets a very, very high standard. That's the catch. Catch has been made. So Mark Bruce has been brought back into the group. We'll hit the reset button here at the front. I'll throw it back to you, Nathan, as they come into the grand finale here at Trofeo Bologna for our Central Europe C0s. This might be the race of the day.
Laverick here that we're looking at, 7 watts per kilogram, went to the front, looks pretty comfortable in his live stream there. He is actually live streaming over on YouTube if you want to go check him out and catch that there. 7.5 at 183 right now. Absolutely smashing it, Laverick.
Yikes.
1.7. Kind of nice to see on the live stream. You can get an idea of lots of chatter happening over there as well. But you got 1.6 kilometers to go. 183 beats per minute right now coming in from Laverick right now. Here is the view from our point of view. Solid ride here coming from Laverick. And I have a feeling he's been waiting for these moments, perhaps. Eddie Uhl now goes to the front, though. 4 seconds to separation. Is Laverick sitting in, or is he getting dropped? That was an early attack to close things down. They brought Bruce back in. Bruce went right out the back, 13 seconds behind.
He's okay.
Catanzaro's out the back here as well. So looking here, this is the selection, Dave. It's going to come down to 6. And Eddie Uhl, our man who was just pounding the pedals coming into the climb, pulling the group, is now pulling them through the most crucial section of this climb.
That's how good Eddie is, Nathan. No doubt about it. He certainly, now the horses can smell the barn at this point. Thomas Thrall, Canadian, right there. He's ready to Canuck up. No doubt about it. That's Wahoo Coal Rider, Eddie Laverick, throwing up a feather. Not necessarily a great sign right now, Nathan.
Yeah, looking here, and I did see it is going to be Alpinist wheels. 16. Alongside of the selection of the bike here coming from Laverick is actually super interesting. He's gone with the lightest setup with the Athos and the Alpinist now, actually. But Thrall on the counter, and out of everybody, out of everyone that is in this front pack, he did the least work to this point, I think. He has been saving everything for right now.
He can absolutely now putting himself in position to take out a massive win. Thomas Thrall looking incredibly good right now. So he's looking to just get through the last 500 meters or so. But you have every reason in the world to believe in Thomas Thrall, as the Canadian has absolutely delivered massive wattage now. He is dimming the power grid all over Bologna, and he's not done. Just throwing more coal onto the fire. This is a standout ride from Thomas Thrall. He's not coming back in my mind. It looks like Eddie Uhl is going to hold on for silver if he can keep Bruce Kerr from making that catch. Chell Power sitting in fourth. Ed Laverick sitting in fifth right now. I think that this race has gone, at this point, it's for silver here as Thomas Thrall has gone clear.
Yeah, 10 seconds at this point. Thrall just putting more coal on the fire now at this point, just stoking almost 7 watts per kilogram. Perfectly timed. This is exactly how you race this race for the win. This is as surgical as it gets. I saw him. Did you see him coming down the other side of the climb? There was just the reality that on the other of this climb, on his downhill, he was actually off the back a little bit. The reason being, though, was because he actually was reserving. He was waiting. The first time over the top of the climb, he sat in and amongst the group in the packs, not on full-on attacks, not really a part of any of the moves, because he knew that this would be the most crucial moments of the race. This final 3 minutes or so, what he got to the top, he opens up 12 seconds. He put every ounce of energy that he could into this, and it's ended up paying off on that gamble.
Yeah, it's got to feel great. That's how you play the game right there. Didn't get played, but played it perfectly today as Thomas Thrall. We're going to see that finish arch in just a moment. And yeah, when it all comes together like this, Nathan, when you use your brain and strategically play your cards correctly, and then you're sitting in that group, and theoretically, we talked about this the other day, you've done the least amount of work, you should have that extra charge on your battery, and then just hitting the go button, having it all work out, it's a beautiful thing, and that is your winner. Way to go. As Thomas Thrall taking a huge win. It's going to be Chell Power coming through for silver, Eddie Uhl for bronze, Ed Laverick taking the chocolate medal for fourth, and Bruce Kerr for fifth today. This is the Rob Wood group that we're in with now.
Up back to sixth
Diogo
place.
Calzada is the port.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Virtus.
Nathan. Diogo.
Good to see Virtus here getting in with the top 10. Solid ride from them. Newer to this top level. We had talked about a lot about them. How would they perform at this top level? Well, we're seeing they're in amongst that top 10, not too far back from some of the best esports riders in the world.
Making the grade. No doubt about it. They belong. You proved it, guys. Great job. Rob Wood, talented rider. We'll be watching for. That's Diogo. That we've got the Portuguese rider across the line, Mark Bruce, who attacked early, certainly put a lot of excitement into this race. He lit the fuse, but ultimately Thomas Thrall stomped that out and lit his own bomb, and he was gone. Scott, nice work out there today. You'll hear more about Scott Catanzaro throughout the next few months.
This is great to see over here. Vicky Nealon, you said that she would make that front group, and she has done just that. This is going to be your C1's actually.
Morton.
Morton, though, just gone.
I like that name, Morton. Morton Holt, the Danish rider here. He looked very strong early on, and they weren't able to hold him back. The levee broke. Way to go, Morton.
Surprisingly,
nice
is he
job,
really
Vicky.
getting the better of Zach Neer? Is this I am surprised. Zach's got 7 watts per kilogram, though, and I think Zach.
He's not done.
No, he's going to catch him.
It's not quite over.
Full watts per he's full 1 watt per kilogram higher at this point. Zach just has more power in the tank. Holt, though. Now look at this.
It's just enough.
It's a sprint to the line. It's a sprint to the line. I think if Zach has
finish.
1 kick, 4 seconds. Look at how quickly it's coming back. If he's got to throw some orange numbers right now, though. I mean, this is so close. I don't think he's going to do it. It's just enough here for.
Morton's going to hold on into the barrier section. I think Zach comes
just
incredibly close, but
just a little bit off. So close. Good effort there from Zach Neer. Maybe just allowed a little bit too much leash, you think, Dave?
Yeah, I would say that puts it perfectly. And again, on a day where you can afford to play around with things and have some fun, Zach will be back, and he's going to be doing some major damage out here racing. As we see a few more riders finishing up inside the top 5. Vicky Nealon, you are a legend, Vicky, as the high-no rider, clearly going to be back in full force for ZRL. I'm always excited to see Vicky.
7th place amongst the C1 is an amazing ride, actually. So solid. As the
Just
rest of our
another day
Top
at the
10
office
out.
for Vicky Nealon, Nathan.
The grief here from Coalition. K. Gray as well from NZ Bro coming across the line. Always like to see the new NZ. Sorry, earlier I got a hand slapping pretty good earlier from Anna.
From Anna.
And
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh man,
we had a conversation about getting things right or wrong when it came to all the names in New Zealand. She said, "I don't care what you say with people's names. You better say NZ, bro." That's what she said. He was like, "It don't matter what you say. Besides, that is not a Z. That is a Z. And then you can mess up everyone else's
tell me
name."
You didn't push back, did you?
I just left it at that.
Yeah, smart move.
Left it at that. And Duncan McRae Spencer coming on in. And we actually had some, we actually did have someone from Martin's household, at least, in chat letting us know. Aaron, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
No drama llamas.
No drama llama.
Leader.
Keeping the drama down, letting us know where the flags are at. So
she's the best. Big fan of Aaron.
Duncan McRae Spencer. Wow, that race made Ed fall off his trainer at the finish line.
Ed collapsed.
Woo! We should get Ed in for an interview. Just talk to Ed. Let me see if
Ed's
we can
one of the
that.
great characters in our community for sure. Thank you, Duncan.
I'm not sure if Ed's
Vicky
got a Discord or not. We'll see if he can. We should have planned it. If Wahoo the Cole's got a Discord, we can jump in with him. But the
Vicky's just out cruising now.
International scene. We're coming in from Joanna Barroso Calisto. Good to see you. Thanks a lot.
Couldn't agree more.
They're absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it.
We're looking forward to seeing more of those guys, and they've been really impressive up to this point. Portugal, Nathan, breakthrough nation last year. Now they're really established. I mean, it's really very normal to see Portuguese flags all over the shop. We're now starting to identify some friends from Turkey and India with some programs that are coming on strong. It's always going to be exciting to see new nations really embracing Zwift. That's for sure. Old guard Vicky Nealon just out cruising now.
We're just out for
clocking some kilometers.
I mean, what this is the quality
You're lucky
content.
to ride with Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, this is as quality as it gets, right, Dave?
I couldn't agree more. Well, we were talking about Thomas Thrall to start the previous race, and then we were notified that he was jumping in with this one, and I thought, well, there you go, Central Europe. Have fun with that. Thomas Thrall.
I have to be honest. He was on my radar, but not for the win. He was not on the radar for the win for me. So this was amazing result, I think, for him. Nice job.
I have a gift. I wake up in the morning and I heard a voice that said Thomas Thrall, and I was like, oh, thank you, voice.
I don't know, man. You got to watch out. Watch out if you got voices saying Thomas Thrall when you wake up.
That's true. When you start telling the doctor that you hear voices. Well, so that time I believe is faster than we saw in the previous race, though, because of a very strong group that worked together. They were chasing out there a lot. Mark Bruce kept the speed high with that attack. So it was Thomas Thrall taking the win, Shell Power for silver, Eddie Uhl taking the bronze, Ed Laverick, fourth place for the chocolate medal, Bruce Kerr ending up in fifth, Rob Wood for sixth, Diogo Calçada in seventh, Mark Bruce for eighth, Scott Catanzaro for ninth, and it was Hamlet rounding out your top 10 for our C0s. Very fun race to watch.
And in with the C1s, we've got Jensen followed up by Near. And then it is going to be Diet there coming out of France for third place. Carradine in fourth place. D. Fisher followed up by Carson. Sear, help me out here with that one. That's an Italian name, though, as well.
Ciccarelli.
Ciccarelli. Thank you so much. And that's why I don't have quite as much pasta as Dave. Pereira there as far as followed by Nunes, and she crossed the line for 10th. That is your men there in the
I'm trying to remember the times here to see what Vicky Nealon's time, 41.50. Do you mind going back to the guys for me, Nathan?
Yeah, sure.
So I think she was 7th. Is that right? 41.15. So her place would have been right here. Yep. 7th place for her in the non-gender category. Vicky, again, big fan. Nothing new there. Good luck to you in the
coming across
ZRL.
The line here. Yeah, for sure. Man, we need to set up when we do have some of these top riders coming through. I was going to see if I could get in with Ed just to hear about his falling off the trainer. We'll have to plan that in the future here.
Can he breathe?
It looks like he's talking just fine. Looks like he's talking just fine over at his over on his YouTube channel right now.
He's got a huge fan base. Like there's the Ed Laverick Nation, right? They have merch and everything.
I think they do have merch, actually. I think that is a thing. So pretty cool to see. He's got a huge following on YouTube, so that's absolutely awesome and great to see there.
I'm one of them.
I guess I am too.
Yeah.
I'm seeing if I can bring in. Well, it'll take a little bit too long. We got to jump into our next race as well. So, which is starting in about 12 minutes. We'll take a quick little 5-minute break. Head over to WTRL.racing for the rest of the results. 5 to 7 minutes, and we'll be in with the Western for our final European race on the day for the Zwift Classics Trofeo Bologna. We'll see you in just a few minutes for Western Europe. And we are back, and it is good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are at in the world. Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll next to me, and it is Zwift Classics, and we are in for our final race of the day, the Western European. And we predicted it after watching Lionel Vujasin dominate Eastern earlier this, it would have been this morning here in the U.S., and now we've just saw it again. Thomas Thrall, another Premier Division rider, walk away in the C0s. So obviously we've got a situation on our hands here, Dave, where the Zwift Racing League, as well as what is happening with the Classics, is essentially a warm-up, preseason, as you were saying.
Yeah. Somewhere I feel like only the strong survive should come into play on a day like today. As this has become, so Nathan, again, I'm sure that you've raced here a lot, but this is a course that is competition only. So you don't see this world all that often when you're just out riding. So only the racers are going to know Bologna. I absolutely love it, but it's tough. I mean, let's be honest. This climb is insanity, to tell you the truth. And 2 times up it for 25K total, a little under 25K, actually. But believe me, it's plenty. No doubt about it. Abbondanza, as they say. I actually just made a cappuccino. These new breaks that we're working in with the, the 40, 45-minute long races.
Dave's loving the breaks. Dave's
I love the breaks. There's no doubt.
Welcome to traditional esports, because actually in traditional esports,
do they take
breaks? It's a very usual thing for a break scene in between games, go and fight. Because traditional esports is a little bit different, though, because a lot of times it's tournament tiered. So you have a lot of head-to-head competitions over and over and over again. You have brackets like NCAA, like our basketball. You've got a 64, then down to 32, that kind of a situation. Well, at the majors, it's usually about 32 to 16 teams going through brackets, and they have like a a round robin where you can, or is it round robin? I forgot what it's called, but they have a loser's bracket and an upper bracket. If you go down to the loser's bracket, you still have an opportunity to go to the final, but you got to beat everybody who came down to the loser's bracket, etc. So they do take all that to say they do take a lot of breaks because they have so many head-to-heads over and over again, and they're like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how quickly the games end up being won. So much more like you like traditional esports casting, it sounds like, Dave.
I for sure do.
Not so much to sit for long periods of time watching helicopters out in a prairie. Is that what you're saying?
Oh man, I tell you what, there's so many things about esports that I have come to love. And I think that this duration of time, 45 minutes to about an hour and 15 minutes, seems to be the sweet spot for races as well in this format. And for a lot of reasons, I have learned so incredibly much about, the similarities between regular in real life racing. And Nathan, I mean, you and I both share a real passion for racing outside. There's no doubt about it, and it's
probably doing
bikes,
it this weekend.
Road bikes, yep. And I never realized how well esports would dovetail in with this. And every single week that I'm out at the real races, Nathan, I'm running into the folks that we've made friends with through Zwift Community Live, and I absolutely love it. I mean, it has been the best thing. Talk about an upside coming out of that whole COVID situation. No doubt about it. So getting back to what I was saying, though, I haven't seen Bologna just because of my limited, and it's kind of interesting how it all works. Some courses like Sand and Sequoias, I feel like or Tempest Fugit, I feel like I've announced 30 different races that have been out there. But this is a sweet course. It really is. You were saying in your World of Zwift piece that I really enjoyed and am learning a lot from, that this course was a replica of Giro d'Italia stage. It was a time trial, though, and it finished up at the top of the climb, but we've turned it into a circuit. They turn around. We've seen that turnaround point. When Lionel Vujasin was leading by a minute, it was, one of those moments in racing that I love when you have riders passing back and seeing the guys that are chasing them, and you can kind of look them in the eye and talk about a psychological, the warriors that these riders are. That's a psychological moment out there.
Definitely is. And talk about a psychological moment here, Dave. We're in with the C0s for our Western. We will be covering across C0, C1, and C3. I do have all three up and ready to go for us here. We'll see how much we can handle with that on the computing power, but I think we'll be able to make it happen. This is C0 and Team Vegan off the front for a moment, but brought back very quickly within the pack here. And during the World of Zwift feature, I definitely did mention that this section, unless you really want to risk a lot, it is taking in the scenery a lot of times here. There's just a reality that it is pretty difficult to get away from a pack first time through
it's
here.
Sort of like one of those how do I put it? Nothing to gain by attacking, but if you don't stay attentive, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble because no one wants to chase back into a fast group on a downhill, right? So sort of a gauge your effort start.
Exactly. And a little bit of a kick off the front there. Obviously, maybe just testing the legs a little bit there from Medeiros out of Portugal, but it is going to be Irvine following him from the London Phoenix team. Bailey from Electric Spirit, that's CO. Thorpe is here from the Wahoo Cole team. Very well represented on the day. Watch out for OMG. That is going to be the Oh My God, They Killed Kenny crew, I believe, hanging out here, coming out of Canada. Very well-known team from the Zwift Racing League. They actually made the playoffs in the Zwift Racing League and had a pretty solid result. I think they were still within the top 6 or 7, I want to say. So great to see them out on course right now. Let's go ahead and jump across. This is going to be PTZ represented here. Marlo Hurd as well, smashing the pedals in our C3s, just getting out on course. We'll jump across each and every one of our categories that we are covering here just to give an idea of where people are at the start of their race as the C3s Altogether, it looks like here, not too
Yeah,
much
Peter.
separation anywhere. A little bit. Well, actually, right from the get-go, there is a little bit of struggle, it looks like, with a few off
I'm
the bat.
wondering, Nathan, help me out here. In our C3s, the Hungarian rider, Peter Ballant, he's back, isn't he? I'm not sure if you can find him or not, but if he is, certainly he's been one of the breakthrough riders in this C3 group. Jan Lindqvist, Harm Verhoeven, Coelho as well. Another one of the Portuguese riders, Luis Felipe Coelho, to watch. Daniel Wells out of Australia jumping in with our Europe West group. This is the Scottish rider, Miles, that we've got right now with our C3s. Again, to quickly set the stage for you here, today's race for all of our categories, actually, that I've seen, I believe everybody is on the 2 laps, 24.8K with 450 meters of climbing. And that's really the tail of the tape out here, is that climbing comes at you, and it is no messing around. That is for sure. Just getting into it out here. Typically, races have been finishing between 40 and 45 minutes, so it's not an incredibly long time out on the bike. It's the intensity that makes this effort special out here. There's Harm Verhoeven, the Dutch rider. Certainly a rider to watch out here today, Nathan, in the C3 field that we're following along with here. Early going.
This right. This is an 11-year-old, Micah.
Excuse me?
Milo. My son's name is Milo, so I'm not sure if that's how I say it, but it says 11 years old.
Milo Miles, is that the
Micah Miles, I believe it is. But in the name it says Milo in the name on Zwift Power. So, but 35 kilograms.
Alan
35 kilograms.
Alan Miles might be the dad in
Yeah,
this situation.
I did see the other Scottish flag there actually. So, level 37. If this is his personal account,
okay, here's your ride.
I mean, are you kidding me? Are you level 37? That is, I mean,
this kid is a beast.
This is one of the things I love about gaming is like sitting in front of
he's
the computer
11?
Gaming is probably a pretty normal thing, right? For
Sure.
a kiddo, I could spend tons of hours, and then they jump on the bike and they Zwift, and it's this awesome transfer of fitness from gaming. So great to see. Look at the watts per kilogram, 91, 96 watts. He weighs 35 kilograms. I mean, this kid, I want to see what happens when they hit the climb with Micah here. Good to see, loving it. Great job to family as well, getting him out here in the Zwift Classics with this huge pack right now. What other platform, what other situation could you see something like this happening right now? Being on the big
Micah
screen,
Miles just made my day. That completely made my day, Nathan. So I'm excited to see how this one plays out today, but that's outstanding. All right. Well, that's fun to identify here in the early going at Trofeo Bologna, our 9th of 10 of the Zwift Classics.
Laverick came in actually to chat. I missed that for a moment here, letting us know he needs scraping off the floor.
They had to scrape him off the floor.
Yeah, had a tough one. Debbie in shape, good to see you over at Twitch. Always a huge supporter, and always like to shout her out as she's in the chat, and all of our Twitch community over there as well. You have a couple of ladies, it looks like, making this group. Danny P here from The Big Ring is in and amongst here. We'll see if we can find any of our other ladies. I did see at least 2, maybe 3 women who have made the front group here. So
Angie Ortiz is a rider that I've become familiar with and watch out for, Nathan.
Yeah, coming out of Spain, right? Is that right?
Exactly. You nailed it. There she is. Actually, name just popped right there. She's in the sweet spot. Angie, fantastic job. Like a boss right there in the middle of the group.
And then there's one other woman has made the front group. I believe it's going to be Orsi Antel coming out of Hungary. She actually raced the Zwift Classics last weekend. She also did the Richmond Challenge. That was going to be it for her so far in the Classics. She's been racing since November of 2020, so a little bit newer to the world of racing out on Zwift. And looks like coming in, this rider out of Hungary, Orsi Antal. Let's see if I
Peter?
can find her out on
Oh,
course.
sorry.
Well, no, just it's interesting to me that when you look at a history of races, right? This is the thought process that I'm going through, and you look at what they've been up to, and you can see how much interest and participation has been happening, right? And it does look like this is going to be maybe something a little bit, maybe not completely new, but I mean, a venture maybe into Zwift Racing League, or looking forward to what's happening with Zwift Racing for Antal, because there isn't a whole lot of high end focused racing that I can see on her Zwift power profile, which tells me suddenly jumping into the classics like this, some sort of there was a little bit of a maybe I'll check this out. Maybe I'll get into this racing scene. She did Off the Map, stage 2 and 3 just recently, all in August here. So good to see Orsi jumping in, and I have a feeling this might be a name that we see coming into the fall.
I completely agree. Nathan, we're seeing the cross-pollination now really working, where at Zwift, at in real life events, people are starting to hear friends talking about loving racing on Zwift. And as we move into, it's hard to believe we're already working our way through the back end of the summer now here, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And we're going to see a whole bunch of new folks racing coming into ZRL Season 4, or even into right here, right now. Classic number 9, Trofeo Bologna. And look at the pitch. It starts to really go up, like climbing up an elevator shaft in a unicycle here. It goes over 12%. And we're going to start looking at the riders that came to make a difference out here today. That's Dave Ward that we're looking at, pressing hard right now. Look how it starts to thin out. Gaps will start to open up, Nathan. It just got real. Reality sandwich time. They're serving them up at the front of the group.
Something I want to highlight here across this, the categories and the zones here is the households that race together, which is always really cool to see. We could jump across over to the C0s, and Gamst here on the front. Solid effort here coming in from Gamst, as this is the C0s. This is the cream of the crop here that we're in with. And Thorpe trying to chase it down from Wahoo Lacole. Homer there from Oh My God to Kill Kenny Bailey as well. They've got a solid gap right now at this point in this C0s. But, this is one of those awesome households that we do have in and amongst the Zwift Racing with Michael Gamst. Louise Gamst, did she race earlier? Did they share the trainer or not? Or I wonder if she's actually in and amongst. I did not see Gamst in and maybe taking the day off. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael sends us a little note in game, actually, once he can type. We'll see. But Thorpe here trying to chase it down. Bailey, Fuller, Homer, Boardman, Mundell, they're all within striking distance still. The Skylab rider, Rigby, though, 11 seconds back. I'm not sure he's going to see the front end of this race again. Enough riders behind, maybe with these 3, but I don't know. That gap is really going out, and that will snowball that time in just a moment.
Simon Rigby from the Isle of Man. Boy, it is brutal out here right now. Taking a look at the riders, Nathan, that are trying to find the front of this bike race. Again, Michael Gamst, on paper, is going to be very hard to beat today. We've seen some standout rides. There's no question. This is going to be Harner that we're in with right now, as Zach Harner, the American here, doing a good job of keeping his head above water. But as we can see, this one has turned into every man for himself out here right now.
Yeah, Harner, solid effort here, spinning like mad to try and get back on terms here. 168 beats. Now up in the 7.5, a little bit of motivation, it looks like. Maybe that's the TV.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, all things considered, you kind of try to weather the storm right now. It looks like it might come back together. Again, this is the story of the day, no doubt about it, that very small groups, typically our winner has been solo as they come across the line. As a matter of fact, I don't think we've seen a sprint. We've seen riders trying to nail back another rider at the finish line and coming very, very close out here. But this course favors the brave rider out here, like the Danish rider Michael Gamst. Man, I tell you, Denmark is crushing it in international cycling. New Zealand, Denmark, these two nations, not huge countries, but man, do they pack a wallop. There is that classic U-turn that we use. As again, this was an out and back, a time trial course. We love using it as a circuit race, nearly 25K when they're done with 2 laps, but we're back into the downhill portion. And Nathan, this is where that small group working together does have a bit of an advantage. We've seen that earlier here. You watch the speeds really start to ramp up, and we saw 107, 108 kilometers per hour out here dropping into the super tuck is Michael Gamst.
Now coming back into our C1s, it is going to be McLellan here from AHDR on the attack, and he's on the new Roval, and as well as Athos, hammering away here. Back here from the DBR with Zach Neer on his wheel. Caleb Carluck. So Neer now heading to the front. Did Zach already race once, I believe? So
am I having a deja vu all over again?
For sure. As Neer now looking to chase down, it looks like. Ortvik a little ways behind. Bergenski is there from the Wahoo Lacole team, it looks like. And they're going to do a quick little turnaround. And good to see Caleb Carl from Skylab in here as another one of our live streamers that is making his way to the front and just trying to pull this back together. I think they're going to see Michael pretty quickly, actually. 4 riders, it's just enough, I think, to really get a snowball effect going, and they'll avalanche down this hill at some pretty high speeds.
Zach Nair is the new generation of bright minds in the sport. And boy, does he have an engine to back it up as well. Our little joke there, Zach just got done racing for 40 minutes. That race was very, very quick. The previous race, the low 39 minutes to do this 25-ish K. But to see back out here again, Nathan, not unheard of, but talk about how impressive that is.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely, especially amongst this, if it wasn't like a super high level, it'd be a little bit different. But at this level, those kind of efforts, too. It is such a hard course. There's no messing around here. So yeah, this is essentially an all-out max effort 4 times, essentially, over the top of this climb. An amazing interval set, actually. This would be a great 5-minute repeat set, actually, to be doing. You look at his 100 kilometers per hour here coming from Near as they look to chase down McLellan. It's 21 seconds, though, to the AHDR rider. That is nothing to wink at.
So, Nathan, out of curiosity, I'm sure you've done this a zillion times in your esports career. If you're Zach, Caleb Carl here, but I'd like to ask, if you're Zach, you finished that previous race. Now, in that time, I went up and made, I'm not even kidding, a cappuccino, right? It was the perfect amount of time to do that. Did he sit on his trainer the whole time and just keep pedaling? Because I'm going to guess you don't want to get off.
I would keep slightly pedaling, taking it pretty easy. The amount of time between, though, like the hour and a half mark, maybe not. You could go get a recovery drink or have the recovery drink ready immediately following the race, right? And then
just
slam that
down.
Yeah, and then you get actually like that hour. I think because it was between races. Because
do you really want a recovery drink though? I mean, sugar
For sure. So the protein in that little bit of a window right there with that amount of time. So I've done a lot of like 24-hour races and teams and things like that. That little bit of protein in there assists the sugar to get into the muscles, actually. It actually is an assistant to the sugar getting into the muscles quicker. So that 1 to 4 is not just or 1 to 8, depending on which way you go with it. There's a lot of different science out there on it. But
that's really interesting.
That 1 protein to 4 carbohydrates or up to 8, it just assists the sugar to get back in there. And so it's a quicker uptake because it's there. The other thing there is you can get a little bit of repair even with that short amount of time. The body likes it, that it knows it has those resources there and is willing to give more to you to say you're not going to kill us. So and I maybe go sit down and wait for my next turn. I definitely have seen that going on. If it's a whey protein, or it's it needs to be a light protein. I'm not like throwing in chicken. Mean, some people's stomachs can handle it. I mean, I've seen people do some interesting
rice
stuff.
cake, the real food. the real food movement has definitely caught on. Let's talk, Nathan, about the riders we've got who've made this front group here, because Zach does have some company. One of them is another legend, and also the kind of guy that we've known to do not only back-to-back races, Nathan, but back-to-back-to-back. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do 3 races in a row outside of Caleb Carl of the Skylab team, another American there with Zach Nair representing next. Then you've got Karluk and and Beck. Right. So Denmark represented one more time here, Nathan. That's Klaus Beck that we're talking about for the DBR team. And then Jacek Karluk is the Dutch rider up in this group with the 2 Americans. Again, this is your front group, and it's looking pretty good. I bet dollars against donuts that your winner comes out of this group, say the least here. It's one of these 4 kings of the road.
Looking at the kind of play-by-play as it happens here, they did calm down a little bit, looking at each other, saying who's going to make that chase. Maybe they weren't super interested in thinking 10 seconds wasn't too much, but Beck got sick of that.
Klaus
Very quickly
said
went
enough
to the
of
front.
that.
Yeah, and
Klaus
just
is
said,
not
okay.
patient. No.
6 watts per kilogram for a moment. Now to 5, starting to get steady. I think we're going to see an elbow here in a moment saying, come on, you got to help out, though. Brought it back to 9. He's within sight. You see him just on the other side of the bridge there. Left-hand bend. Going to go out of sight for a moment. That's not what you want to see if you're the chase group. You need him within sight, within striking distance. They call him right down as Klaus put in the dig, and nobody else really cares too much to chase. I think they're trusting and even letting McLellan do this work off the front, perhaps. You know, they keep him within 10. It's comfortable. You get outside of that 10, I start getting a little bit iffy about those kind of numbers.
Yeah, Australian hump day ride is the AHDR legends, each and every one of them coming from down there in Australia. Let's take a look at the Danish Express now. Michael Gamst here, as Gamst has some company, including Wahoo Lacole's Thorpe. And so this is our C zeros that we're in with. And
a little bit of chatter
Nathan
coming
again.
through. They were London Phoenix rider there was saying, are you going to do some work or are we just going to sit around? And now Lupp is coming back saying, no, the hill is the place to work, not too interested. So there's a little bit of infighting, not carrying the chase here. You know, like, kind of love you both. And now the attacks start because of it. Okay, fine. You want to sit on? I'm not going to let this develop this way. Full gas now, it looks like, with this London Phoenix rider. Irvine going off the front saying, you're not sitting on my wheel that way. And Lupp says, no, you can't get away from me. I'm going to put a chain right on you.
It's like 2 guys outside of the bar going, you want to make something of it? You want it? And then all of a sudden blows get thrown and now we're scrapping because here we go. Brian Fuller, another one of the riders, the American on dirt, who's having a great day out here today. Adam Thorpe is the Wahoo Lacole rider up there. It's an interesting race right now, Nathan.
It really is. And this is for a top level. I mean, this is still no joke. I mean, even sitting in the 12th position, though, this is C0. So we're talking the fastest in Western Europe.
Yeah, the computer says these guys are awesome even, right? I mean, the algorithm said these are the best of the best right now, looking at all the data that we've got. Put them into the big boy group, the C0s. There's our leaders.
The computer making me think of Galaxy here.
It's just somewhere there must be a computer.
Give me the answer to the universe on who is fastest here. Oh, it's who's the fastest amongst the fast. The computer came back.
So eventually 17. The computer will just tell us.
It's not 42, it's 17. It's these 17,
right.
Just so you know.
We don't even need to race them anymore. The computer can tell us.
Wonder if anyone, I mean, there's got to be plenty in chat that got that reference. If you are like, what are you talking about? Thorpe now on the front, it looks like here. Gamst, Fuller.
Torpedo.
Mundell trying to make a chase. They're not really messing around behind here, actually. I did see 5 watts per kilogram for a moment. You know, Gamst made that happen with an all-in effort. We saw in the last C0, Thrall wasn't a chase group or chasing, not maybe this far back, but did have to come back to the wheels. And so we could see a situation where some of these riders are trusting the rest of the group to pull things in. With 30 seconds, though, it's a little bit much. And with the way Gamps went over the top, maybe going to be head and shoulders above the rest. Time will tell, though, in just a moment. Back in with the C1s real quickly here, though, Dave. We do have some attacks I want to highlight. As they're about to make that catch, we saw McLellan off the front you said Klaus was not liking the situation, and you can see exactly what's playing off here. Yeah, he did. Carl looking to come across too, and they are maybe dropping some because of this.
Yeah, so again, this is Klaus Beck here, who the Danish rider that we were joking about not being patient waiting in that group. He was kind of dangling off of the front of that chase group. Well, he's taken matters in his own hands and now hit the reset button, and he hit it hard because that's going to be a brave McClellan out here today. But now it looks like these two are working together. So that's strong from McClellan there to be able to jump in, and let's see what he and Beck can do. This actually for McClellan might not be bad news at all, getting a little bit of help at this point, Nathan, before you go into the meet. But actually, I should say the pasta main course, pasta bolognese here is Trofeo Bologna, our this will be our Western Europe group that we're in with right now. And Klaus Beck is the DBR rider joining McClellan right now. And yeah, this is where it gets real. It's already been extremely tough to this point. Now we're going to find out who the best of the best are.
Yeah, and this is a serious gap here. I think Zach is realizing that might be gone. You allow McClellan and Klaus to get away at this point, and Zach sees, Zach Neer sees exactly what's going on here. Carl looks to go across.
I'm anticipating he is going to be the gold standard, to tell you the truth, the way that Zach Nair is riding. And he recognizes the danger and is one man that can do something about it. He came back from nearly winning the previous race out here. Obviously, he's on great form right now. And in my mind, Zach Nair is absolutely the man to beat, without any doubt.
This is an interesting bike setup. I'd love to talk to him about why he chose this specific setup, because I'm seeing this setup a lot, actually, amongst the top esports riders. So
is this the Climber Super setup?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what they're thinking. Is it's enough of the aero that you might want on the flatter sections, but has, pretty much almost the same when it comes to the Athos and the Alpinist, or maybe he doesn't have the Athos and the Alpinist, perhaps. So Karlik now really struggling.
What
here.
level?
He got caught
What
out.
level Zwifter is? Sorry, Nathan, to talk over you. What level Zwifter is Zach?
Oh, he's got to be level 50. I would be really surprised if he wasn't. I'll double check.
I would be stunned if he wasn't 50. So again, back in with our front group here for the C1s. This course, boy, is this typically, Nathan, what you see? Because, I don't see why we don't race here every week. To tell you the truth, it seems like the perfect race course to me. The 9th of 10 of our Zwift Classics this summer.
And yeah, he's definitely level 50. Level 50 Zwifter. He's currently, what is his current ranking? 26th.
In the world right now.
World. That's to get there. And it's gotten so competitive on those Zwift rankings. I was pushing in the top 100 for a little while last winter, and it was all of a sudden something happened, and people started paying attention to it, and it started getting very difficult to break top 150 or any it got really. You got to find the exact right races, and this is also why I like the AutoCAT system, because if it does down the road get employed in some sort of way that is a little bit more across the board of Zwift racing, where you can jump in with a WTRL race like this anytime rather than having to wait for the classics or a ZRO race, that would be very helpful for finding individuals that want to race at the same time to up your ranking point too. So
how much of a favor is Zach doing for himself by, this is a super high level. The value of the race increases by the quality of the competition. So he's done 2 races. This should be at a worst top 5 for Zach here in this race, a second already. That does not hurt at all, does it, when it comes to his, does that move him up a couple places?
So his result yesterday in the DBR Wahoo Cup in a 4th place is one of his best 5 in recent months. It takes your best 5. He took a second in the Kirchner Race Series back on the 6th, which is his best result that lowered him way down. So I think
because those have
here-
super strong fields,
yeah,
right?
so I'm not sure that this here is going to, because his second place earlier today in the
Didn't make
Central
his
Europe,
top 5.
it did not make his top 5. No, and I don't
Oh,
think
well,
that
then this one
will
won't either. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure
yeah,
it's going to have a
no.
big
So this
effect.
isn't
Now,
about Zwift ranking. This is
it
about
may
getting in
give
shape.
him, though, there is a reality, though, that it may give someone else a boost because he's such a high-ranked rider. So there is that.
Sure, him being here makes it
Yeah.
more valuable for the other guys. That's an interesting point.
We
Really,
already having
something
a
like
little
you-
bit of a conversation here in chat here from Y Skip Dotus here saying McClellan got caught, giving a little bit of tactical with the 20-second gaps down in every race.
Yeah, we
Interesting
have.
course. Yeah, and that's what I was saying was that over the top of that climb, it almost always does not benefit you to throw many chips in that pot. You just ante up. Just ante up to make that final
Well put.
table, right? And so, what do you
Well
need
put.
to be there?
Just enough to stay at the table, not anymore to show off, right?
Exactly.
Just lay low, just make the split. I mean, that's classic. Remember me talking about that last week, Nathan? I mean, it's so
a royal
true.
flush. It's a royal flush on the river, Dave. It's a royal flush on the river here. And you didn't
what
know
you
that
hope.
that card was coming until you hit that S turn 23% gradient, and you're like, oh, that's what's happening here. So we'll see if McClellan though has anything left in the tank. Did he get a full reset? It's not a rider I'm actually super familiar with. So riders coming out of the woodwork. I mean, Jock McClellan, Team AHDR, he's obviously a strong rider, and HDR very well known. Level 44 Zwifter as well. He's currently an A+, and he's ranked. Now, goes to show, though, how hard it is to get Zwift rankings. 903rd in the world at 176 points right now. The lower the points, the higher the ranking. So,
and if someone asked me right now and said, well, how good are these guys in relative to the big picture? I would say, well, I mean, Zach is a top 26, is very fair to say he's one of the top 30 Zwifters on the planet right now. I mean, not just based on that 26, but just that's pretty accurate, to tell you the truth. And those numbers, it's a sliding, it slides up and down for sure. But these guys are in that, I mean, if you're riding in this front group at this point on this course with this level of competition, yeah, these are amongst the best 300 Zwifters, top 200 Zwifters in the world. Caleb Carl. I mean, Caleb, actually a great story too. Haven't even touched, that tells you how exciting things are these days. But I mean, Caleb Carl's quite a comeback story. Things move quickly out here, but it was only a few months ago that Caleb was involved in a really horrendous crash. And now here he is, absolutely throwing some major league blows out here.
So another comment coming on through, and somebody who knows a lot about Zwift racing, another top ranked rider. I'm not sure where
How?
Yeah, I'm not sure where Howell fits in the rankings at the moment. I could probably look it up here, but he agrees. No point in trying to break in this course. The effort to get 10 seconds will kill you on the climb. And that
unless you're Lionel Vujasin.
Well, unless you're Lionel Vujasin. There is that reality if you're Vujasin, who I've seen sit at 6 watts per kilogram for quite a long time looking fairly comfortable. So, but
that's where he hangs out. That's his just comfort zone, 6 watts per kilo. Guy's a beast.
Speaking to the reality of what in an exercise physiology standpoint here, that the difference between threshold and going 10 to 15% over threshold and how much of the glycogen is burned to do that, it's massive. Yeah. It's absolutely massive. If just a little bit of technical terms,
it's so
difference,
inefficient. It's so inefficient.
Right? And I'm not sure people recognize how much of the sugar and energy is actually burned when you are over threshold, putting those big efforts in. That it's exponentially different. You only get, and just real quickly here, you only get the things that make your muscles twitch to do that. You only get a couple of them. You literally get I think it's between 2 and 4 when you're over threshold out of every bit of oxygen you have there. You get 30 something when you're in under threshold or around threshold. Like there's a huge difference. You're
Sure.
talking massive 4, 5, 6 times amount of energy being thrown down. So when he talks about that 10 seconds, the only way you're getting that is by going into that over threshold, right? So there's a reality that you are really taking a risk. When you talk about putting chips all in, that is a really good example, actually, that you're taking massive risks with the energy you have here and not going to have later.
Think of this way. How much have we learned from the animal kingdom, right? Animal instincts. And the greatest predators, think of the lion on the savannah. That is one lazy animal just chilled out. I mean, aware, but not burning an extra calorie, that's for sure. Just kind of following the shade and laying low until there is that explosion. It's terrifying when you watch any of the great apex predators, Nathan, right? When they make the kill, it's so violent. And the same thing in cycling. You don't half-ass your way to winning at this level. You don't kind of ease into it and then gradually do it. You have to, at some point, it's going to be a violent effort out here. And so trying to keep yourself chill, not waste any calories until you go into, ed mode. It's ed mode, I mean, it really is not for everybody. Winning bike races is not for everybody. It's really, really hard to do. And most people aren't cut out for it. Brian Fuller is. That's Brian Fuller on the front right now for the dirt team. I think that's a fair assessment, though.
Situation here
Michael
with
Gamst.
Fuller. Gamst able to follow. Thorpe unable to go with.
Gamst
2
looks
seconds
so
off
good.
the back. I know he covered that pretty easily too, didn't he? So
yeah, that's very telling right there. The man in yellow, Michael Gamst, the Danish. Although Brian Fuller is saying, shoe. As I'm actually super impressed to see that after Gamst closes that down, Fuller doesn't throw in the towel. He continues to press on. We got ourselves a Donnybrook. It's like Ali and Frazier here now, Nathan. Fuller and Gamst. It looks like these two are going to lock horns, and if they falter at all, they're going to have Adam Thorpe right up on them here.
Gamst looking at
there goes Gamst, yellow jersey, Michael Gamst. Super Dane. He's going, Nathan. He's going. Gamst is attacked. Old school fury now. 7 watts per kilo. He's not even.
And I was thinking Fuller here. It would be a big day for Fuller if he was able to take down Gamst. As far as rankings go, Fuller definitely looking for. It still could be a big day for him. Some top
I love
teams
this course
in here
so much.
still. And riders that are ranked a lot higher than Fuller actually. So Fuller still pulls out a second place. That is a great day for him. The dirt rider actually at 213 right now. Some of the riders around him almost flat 100s when it comes to Zwift rankings at this point. So he's beaten some top riders here, ranked way higher than him. Fuller was looking for the win, not going to happen. Michael Gamst now giving it a go, and this will be pretty good for the BL13 team. They've been really well represented this entire Classics day. BL13 with the way they're showing up, Dave. I actually haven't said this a lot because they've been around for a while, but I haven't seen them give a fairly serious go at the Premier Division spots. And I wonder, they do have a ZRL cap here. I wonder if this is going to be the season for them. I mean, we've seen them in all of the C0. Now, there is a reality, though, that Daz Carter was in a C1. We also saw, I think, Juice was C1 as well, so maybe not quite that level. We just saw them winning a lot of the C1 cats. You get into these zeros, I mean, Gamst has shown us he's got a lot to give, though, here. Maybe a leader amongst the pack there in that BL13.
Well, I'm excited. What does BL stand for? Do you know? Bundesliga.
Boom legs. It's just boom.
This is Michael Gamst on our screen right now. He's going to ride into a nice victory here today. Well earned as well. Super
they did
strong
a great
field.
job here. This is here we go. This is a BL13 team. BL13 started at the end of 2020 as a group of cyclists with aspirations to compete in Zwift Racing League. Although the team is relatively new, we have significant strength and experience of our members. Many who have competed internationally for their country in a non-Zwift capacity. Team comprises former members of national teams in cycling, triathlon, ultramarathon, rowing, windsurfing, and archery. So very competitive group. It sounds like they've got a Discord, they've got a Facebook, they're live streaming. They've got multiple live streamers, it looks like, at least 4 or 5 listed there. And GRL teams in Season 3, there were the Bullets, the Watt Bombs, and the Carbonated, all out of EMEA. And you want to get a hold of those guys. Daryl Carter's the man to go to. They also got 4 other contacts. Very well organized over on Zwift Power. Great to see from BL13.
I've always been a big fan of Luis Gamst and Michael Gamst, and certainly one of the super power couples.
He just took the W. He did it so quick, I didn't even know it was coming.
Yep, there you go. Nice job. Look at Brian Fuller, though, right there today, the dirt rider. That's a solid silver medal for Brian Fuller. Congratulations to Michael Gamst. Brian Fuller for silver. And here's our bronze medal winner. This will be Adam Thorpe coming across the line. That's another solid performance here. This is a rock solid podium that we have in Bologna.
Harner making up some time, actually. He was pretty far off the back.
Good job, Zach.
On. Yeah, he was, I think, outside the top 5, even top 10. So big ride for Zach Harner. 7.5 here, real quick. Little punch over the top. Hold on to 4th place with Boardman chasing him down. Rigby from Skylab looking to come across. And we'll jump back on over to his teammate in the C1s as Caleb Carl is riding for them as we see the top 5 come across the line. Homer, OMG, London, Phoenix, already about to come across the line as well. Let's head back on over to our C1s, though, as Carl, that we were just talking about, is on the attack. And this is the end of the race, actually. He's actually gone. I thought that I was in with McClellan for the win, but he just went goodbye.
Caleb, Carl.
Back on
This is
the
huge.
scene.
Klaus Beck is chasing in second. It's not quite
it's
over, but it's close.
Over.
Caleb, it's over.
He's
Caleb
gone.
Carl.
Carl's gone.
Nice.
Way to see Caleb
Fantastic.
Carl come back into the fold. Top end racing here coming from him.
Wow. Caleb, welcome back to the top step of the podium. We kept it warm for you, buddy. So the Skylab rider, that's got to feel good.
Too. Climbing really well. Not always a rider that I would say, hey, watch out for the climb there from him, but amazing ride there. McClellan, the early attacker.
Had a good ride too.
I mean, even with that attack off the front, still coming in for 3rd is a pretty amazing. Near the second race, back to back. He actually didn't have a break. He was the Central European, my mistake. So he stayed on the bike and just jumped right into this second race and still takes a 4th place, showing us what Next has in store for us for the Premier Division.
That's a great team too. Next, so excited for them to head into what's going to be a really, really fun Jacek Karlik fun season 4 in the ZRL. Jacek Karlik here finishing up.
I like that kit. Cool kit, that Dutch kit.
I love everything about today. Is fantastic racing from tip to tail. I'm gonna go get some pasta bolognese for lunch now.
After your ride, like Cavendish style?
Yeah,
Cavendish
Cav style.
Cav style, right from the ride.
A quick and easy pasta bolognese.
Your Saunier is gonna be there just
with a nice
it up.
Nice Chianti from the Swannier. Yeah, right. Well, we've only got one more classic to look forward to, heading to London for the final week.
That one's going to be exciting. I think that's going to be really, really exciting, Dave. Fort Vic, a little bit of a kick here. Looks like going to get Norway. Norway going to make it happen here. No, going to jump in with the ladies here and just make sure that we highlight what's happening here, because Van Heuling has been in this battle with Morrison, and this has been a battle that's been playing out actually a couple of times throughout the classics here. And it looks like Pro Vision Racing is going to get it on the day. Feather Power Up and Morrison unable to close that down. So solid ride here coming in from Van Heuling as she comes to the line and shows us who the climber is on this week. In the C3s, we will be jumping back on over to them in just a moment. They are just getting into their halfway point on the climb. And the leader currently is D. Wells and Verhoeven. Just as a heads up there. Van Heuling are coming across the line, though, for that first place. Morrison just going to be crossing for second. See if we can move back anywhere for some of the other ladies out here. And I think that was going to be it for the competition amongst the ladies in this C1. Very, very top end athletes, though, to be in it amongst the C1 and the guys. Same with what we saw from Vicky Nealon just a moment ago in the C1s. C3s, the battle is playing out in front of us here. D. Wells and Verhoeven. You said Verhoeven was the one to watch out for. Wells trying to prove you wrong. Look at his choice of bike, Dave. Was this a mistake?
So this is Daniel Wells. Yeah. Wow.
He's got the fastest flat bike, but probably one of the heavier. The new DT Swiss. I just bought these. They're like 1.5 million drops or something like that. Like crazy.
I saw. So right now, this is sub-ideal. Unfortunately, just for.
Well, he's got 3 seconds, so it's working for him. That part's ideal.
Well, that's just because Daniel is such a hoss here. This is, again, Daniel Wells that we're looking at, our leader in the C3s. Daniel, an Australian with the AHDR. That's an Australian hump day ride. Man, is there a lot to unpack with this guy's look.
31 RPM. Did you see that? Way down when it came. Oh, my gosh. That looked like it hurt the knees.
I bet the smart trainer makes quite a noise when you're going through that. Yikes. Oh, it's going away. So this is super impressive. I mean, Harm Verhoeven, who comes in as a super talent, the Dutch rider, Harm is now looking at, he's riding away from them, Nathan.
He is riding away
Duncan,
from them.
I saw that. That's funny. Referencing my Lions on the Savannah.
Good to see Bike Beast. One of our top streamers, actually, Bike Beast, cheering on. And I love how the Twitch community supports each other. Good to see.
We could put Daniel on any bike, Nathan. He could be on the Zwift carbon bike that you get when you first start Zwifting, and he'd be riding away from him, I think.
Yeah, he's killing it here at this point. 6 watts per kilogram.
Who is a Pookie Butt? I'm not a.
He's a Midwesterner who also is a part of the streaming world and has been around the war scene a little bit here and there. So good to see him jumping in. And he knows Timmy, it sounds like.
Nice.
I saw Timmy. Timmy Time, OTR. Here's Timmy Time. We actually ended up on him. He was the final one we were viewing in the C1s. So
there we go.
That was the reference. It sounds
I
like
wasn't sure what that
There's a rivalry. There's a rivalry going on. Timmy Time. Name a time and a place, Timmy. Sounds like Pookie's on it.
It's Timmy Time. I thought it was like an, oh my God, they killed Kenny kind of thing. So this is going to be Daniel Wells. Oh my God, Daniel, you killed everybody with a crushing ride. He's not coming back. He's in a different postal code right now.
Yeah, and he's absolutely gone. Spank here from WLC, getting a little bit of a lead out from Deep and Matt. Going further up, it's going to be Griffin. Looks like HCZR do Zwift in second, coming over the top of Verhoeven. What a solid, wow. This is a late kick coming from this Zwift Thailand rider. Actually, as far as the kick goes, Wells is going to come across the line, though, finishing things up for us.
That's done and dusted. Congratulations, Daniel. Daniel Wells, our gold standard out here. Trofeo Bologna champion in our monuments, our classics of Zwift. Great job, Charlie. I've really loved the course of the courses all season long.
We had a question come in. I'm not sure that our buddy Miles is finishing up out here today.
Micah Miles?
Yeah, I'm not sure Micah's still on course. Looks like he was having a solid ride. Last time we checked in, he was around 50th or so. But I have a feeling maybe
he probably had to go back for a math class or something.
He's only 11 out there. Verhoeven comes across.
Yeah, he's only 11.
Somewhere in the top 10 still. It's gonna be Ryan's there, followed up by Lamers there from Vegan. BZ from the Dirt. BS team. Lindquist now coming across the line as well as we're jumping all over the place.
Like a pinball. Well, it was a great day. out here in Italy. I certainly am now a massive fan of this course in Bologna. Thank you to the Giro d'Italia for loaning it to us for a couple circuits out here. You can see our riders finishing up now as we'll have a chance to go back and look at.
Do I have to go ride? Do I have to go ride now? Yeah, this is my.
I saw you on our start list. I was wondering.
Setup? I mean, would I get any points for this? I don't know. I got the map.
Wrong wheels. Got to change your wheels.
But
you look great. I don't know what did Anna say.
I was racing a different course. I was racing a different course.
Who cares? Who cares what I think?
I didn't show Anna. I actually didn't show Anna. Now we need to clip that. We need to clip that.
You're afraid to show Anna. That's what's going on.
Twitch, you clip that. You send it over. Here we go. I'm going to show you one more time, and then you, Twitch, you got to do it right now. You clip this, and you tag Anna over on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and we need a full analysis of the Nathan Guerra setup here for the Fashion Police. Okay. Now I don't even Actually, I need to change some things because the gloves and the shoes.
Don't send that one. I'm going to give you a chance to tweak it.
We got to redo it, but at least you can send this one and she can then tweak it. All right.
Tweak it.
Cycling the Doc, good to see you. And Ian Mulligan, everyone's laughing at me for having the disc wheel. This was not for this race, everybody. This was for another race.
You're just hanging out. You're like, hey, I'm just here hanging out.
I was doing the Kiss 100 over the weekend, and I had a DC, actually. On Saturday night, I jumped in for 20 minutes, and then everyone disappeared, and I was like, oh, no, and then they never reappeared. And so I was like, whatever, I'm just get off. I'll be done and did something else. But some people probably were wondering where I went, and I was actually chasing them. I was watching on another screen somebody else's race in the race, so I was staying with them, and finally I just got sick of it. It was like, maybe they'll appear again, and I eventually was like, whatever, they're not coming back, but I stayed with them. It was very difficult without a draft, actually. Anyways, that was a tough one over the weekend. Thanks a lot, everybody. Not sure about the glasses, Chris. Oh. All right, maybe we'll change up the glass. What do you want? Just the eyeballs? Just eyeball? Like different glasses, Chris? Come on, guys, dress Nathan's avatar. New segment on Zwift Community Live.
Don't get involved. I'm telling you, don't get involved, people.
Next week we've got London International. A little bit of housekeeping. Make sure to sign up for that. This weekend we also have the Ride to End Alz for the Alzheimer's Association. Jump on that on Sunday. Sign up for the WTRL TTT. We are in the jungle. I think we're going to see a lot of mountain bikes on Thursday. And then the Kristen Armstrong workout as well. Jump into that to get an awesome workout for the London International. I have a feeling we're going to be doing some sprint efforts. I'm not positive. I haven't actually seen the workout yet, but that will be in the companion app. Should be in by the end of the day if it's not already. Dave, it's always a long day of European broadcasting. Do you have your pasta ready? What are you calling it? I don't even know what you're calling
Bolognese.
it. Bolognese.
Bolognese. Right? One of the more classic of the Italian styles of pasta. I do not, because I'm so focused on this, and I don't have a private chef, so I will have to. I'll make arrangements. That's for sure. Yeah, it's not too hard to track down. Here in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Where's your cab set up? I mean, you need to have someone there. Aren't people, whenever you jump on the bike, just there ready for you? I mean, outside. I get outside and suddenly everyone's there. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's funny too. You think I've heard Kate Bates and Matt Stevens and a lot of our colleagues that do in real life commentary as well. It's so much less glamorous than you might think. I was actually reminiscing the other day about the coldest I've ever been in my life. I think was doing a cyclocross race on the web from Reno, and it's just like no one really cares, to tell you the truth. So ultimately,
the coldest I've ever been may have been also cyclocross. Well, training in the winter in Wisconsin, though, that was my motivation.
Sounds brutal.
Way before Zwift, to just have the baby monitor and the baby's milk ready to go at night, get on and play World of Warcraft and ride a trainer for 5 hours. Like, that was much more entertaining for me than going out and literally getting frostbite and almost losing my fingers and toes. So that was
crashing on a patch of ice and shattering a hip or something. It's there's a lot of upsides to Zwifting in the winter. Or
I'd be surprised if anybody's still doing that. Like, because now fat bikes though, so that's a whole nother whole nother thing.
No, I would agree, though. I think that the number of people that are going out for those ridiculous rides in the dark, in the rain at 4:30 in the morning in San Francisco are now Zwifting. You have to think.
Yeah. San Francisco. Oh, it's just, that's warm.
Sounds cold.
That's warm.
Oh.
All right, everybody.
I guess it depends on the moment.
Yeah, true. Thanks for tuning in. It's been tons of fun. Make sure to hit those subscribe buttons, follow buttons. It helps the channel out a ton. We are pushing up toward 11,000 over on YouTube. Make sure if you're over on Twitch, there are probably plenty of people still streaming their Zwift experiences. Hit the Zwift game link, and you'll be able to find all the other streamers that are over there on Twitch streaming right now. And on Facebook, well, share it with your friends. We'll see you guys on Thursday for the Jungle Loop on the Team Time Trial. Still time to sign up by tomorrow, 8 p.m. UK, I believe it is. Maybe it's 7 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Central Time. And as always, everybody, right on.